Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. I have a trillion protagonist Halo. Chapter 1, 1 millions of billion protagonist Halo. Spirit World, Eastern Wasteland Domain, Showdown. What the hell are these? Suddenly a lot of memory fragments appeared in his mind. Suzan held his forehead and glanced around with a puzzled face. The place where he is now is in an antique room. Suzan's head was dizzy, and he walked to the big mirror in the room. The boy in the mirror looks only 15 or 16 years old, with fair complexion and handsome eyebrows. With this face, he can probably make me feel ashamed of not knowing how many little fresh meat in the entertainment industry. However, this is not his face. Suzan's eyes suddenly widened, and he stretched out his hand to touch his cheek with some horror. At this moment, the memory fragments in his mind have also merged with his memory. At this time, he finally understood what was going on. I turned out to be crossing. Furthermore, what is going through is a fantasy world. Through cultivation, you can become a strong person, fly to the sky and escape, and live forever. The place where I am now is the eastern wasteland of the spiritual world, Qingcheng of Liangzhou in Shaoguo. My identity is very good. He is the son of the Su family patriarch who has the same name and surname as me, one of the 4 major families in Qingcheng. Damn it, rich second generation, this is. Suzan was a little excited. But soon, the memory from behind emerged, and his excitement paused for a while. It is the rich second generation, but at the same time, it is also the famous waste of the Su family. Meridians are blocked, absorbing heaven and earth spiritual qi, but can only refine a very small part of it. 6-year-old cultivation has been 10 years old, and is still in the first martial Dao realm 4th stage, and the descendants of the Su family of the same generation, basically, they are already above the 6th stage of Kaimai. The most outstanding genius has even reached the 9th stage. The gap is too big. If someone else encounters this situation, they will be desperate. But Suzan was even more excited. As a young man in the 21st century who has read a lot of novels about this horse breaking the sky, he is familiar with the plot. It stands to reason that next, a woman should come to divorce me, and then I said, 30 years in Hedong and 30 years in Hexi, don't bully the young and poor. Then, an old grandfather came out of the ring and asked me, young man, do you want to become stronger? From then on, I married Bai Fume with Goldfinger and reached the pinnacle of life. The standard protagonist. Suzan laughed and looked at his fingers. There is no mysterious ring inhabited by the grandfather. Probably because the plot hasn't arrived yet. After retiring, you might be able to pick up something like the remnant soul of a peerless powerhouse. Suzan guessed secretly and tried to run true qi cultivation. The former Suzan was a waste, but now he is a traverser after all. Who knows if the physique has changed due to the traversal? It's better to give it a try. 10 minutes later, Suzan stopped the cultivation. His face was depressed. According to the standard of general cultivation talent, he can only absorb 1/10 of the heaven and earth spiritual qi of general talent. Then, in this 1/10 of the world, spiritual qi, he refined into true qi in his body, and only 1/10. As for general talent, at least 30% can be refined. In other words, 1 day of ordinary practitioner cultivation can be worth 1 month of his cultivation. This is so special to cultivate a hammer. If it weren't for a patriarch's father, elixir, and pill, I'm afraid that even the realm of 4th stage would be an extravagant hope. Boom. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. Enter. The words have not been finished. The door has been pushed open. Suzan's eyes fell on the servant at the door, a little displeased. I haven't finished speaking yet. Who told you to open the door to come in? Sorry Suzan young master, I was anxious for a while. The patriarch asked me to ask you to go to the living room, there are important people who want to see you. The servant said sorry, but his expression was not very respectful, and even a little gloating. Hearing this, Suzan's eyes lit up. Could it be that the divorce came? Although there is no marriage contract in my memory, this kind of baby kiss should be the matter of the previous generation, and it is normal for Suzan not to know before. Thinking like this, Suzan asked towards the servant, what's the matter? The servant chuckled. Yin and Yang said strangely, there are 3 days left for young master's birthday. No, the 3 major families sent Qi realm masters to celebrate with young master in advance. On Martial Dao's journey, First the 9th stage is opened, and then Qi can be gathered. Qi realm is already a top master in Qingcheng. The relationship between the 3 major families and the Su family has always been at odds. How could they send such a master to celebrate their junior birthday? Or 3 days in advance? Obviously, there is a problem with this. Su Zan frowned. Unexpectedly, the divorcee didn't come, but he was in trouble directly. I don't know, I told them that 30 years in Hedong, 30 years in Hexi, and then settle accounts after 3 years, can they agree? Don't just do it if you don't agree. Wouldn't it be overwhelming with my own body then? Su Zan, young master, do you know you are afraid? Seeing Su Zan frowning, the servant sneered, young master, what kind of talent do you have? You still dare to compete with the geniuses of the 3 major families for opportunities, even if you eat that towering lotus. It's not that it can't be refined. It turned out to be for this. Su Zan suddenly realized. 3 days ago, the 4 major families of Qingcheng went to Lingshan outside the city to worship the mountain gods. A towering lotus in the mountain matured and released thousands of rays of light, attracting the 4 major families to compete. But in the end, the towering lotus that had been psychic turned out to flew towards Su Zan in a panic. Su Zan at the time was naturally ecstatic and swallowed it without hesitation. But how powerful is the medicine of Sanchenlian? Those medicinal powers impacted the body, and instead caused his internal organs and blood vessels to be destroyed, and he was unable to refining, and he was finally killed. And the 3 big families are also very unwilling. Coming today, it is estimated to see if he is still alive, and then let the Yi family pay a large amount of gold coins as an excuse. Wonders of heaven and earth, those who are predestined will get them. Su Zan swallowed the towering lotus under their noses, and with the protection of the Su family patriarch, they naturally couldn't help it. But if Su Zan couldn't refine the medicine power at all, it would be a waste of waste, and the 3 major families would have reason to put pressure on the Su family. My talent, it's not your turn to be a dog minion to make irresponsible remarks. Su Zan said coldly. He also knew this servant, relying on being the close entourage of Su Heng, the first genius of the Su family, and the weak character of the previous Su Zan, so he became more unscrupulous. Being scolded in person, the servant felt angry, but soon, he suppressed his anger and said in a deep voice, the servant knows. Even though he looked down on Su Zan again, his identity was there. If he really hardened himself, wouldn't he be a servant looking for death? Su Zan, young master, let's go, people from the 3 major families are waiting. After saying something, the servant turned his back, with a cold smile on his face. See how long you can be arrogant. People from the 3 major families come together to ask for trouble, and you are a waste of it. Ding. Congratulations to the host. Activate the Protagonist Halo system. Just when Su Zan stood up and was about to take a step, a mechanized voice suddenly sounded in his mind. A light curtain appeared in front of him, and on the light curtain were the names of the protagonist's auras. The system finally came. I will really be finished if I don't come again. Su Zan was overjoyed, his eyes fixed on the light curtain. The protagonist cultivation halo, the protagonist perceptual halo, the protagonist amorous encounter halo. After watching for a full minute, he was a little confused. System, tell me, how many protagonist auras do I have? Ding. Host, you have 100 billion protagonist auras. 1 trillion. Su Zan was completely confused. A protagonist halo is in the air every day, but I have 1 trillion. Is this FCK a bit too much? However, with so many protagonists on the panel, why are they all gray? Only the cultivation halo is on. When Su Zan was thinking about this, the system's voice sounded again. Turn on the system for the first time and present protagonist cultivation halo. The remaining halo needs to be opened after completing the achievement mission. Protagonist cultivation halo, cultivation base bottleneck. Non-existent. As the protagonist, cultivation should be as easy as eating, drinking, and sleeping. After reading the introduction of cultivation halo, Su Zan asked curiously, what is the achievement mission? Achievement tasks are triggered randomly. It is possible that the host can complete an achievement task after drinking a mouthful of water. Then how do I use the protagonist halo? The host only needs to open the halo panel and select the halo. At the same time, the more halos are turned on, the effectiveness of a single halo will weaken. After asking for a few sentences, Suzan had an understanding of the own halo system. Suzan, young master, why don't you leave? The servant sneered. Could it be, young master? You are afraid of the three major families. Your legs tremble and you can't walk, right? Suzan glanced at him, did not pay attention, but directly called up the halo panel, and chose the cultivation halo without hesitation. Ding! The cultivation halo is activated. Suzan turned true chi for a while, and the true chi stored in his body turned into a riot. At the same time, there is also the medicinal power of the towering lotus that has not been refined at all. It also reacted fiercely with the power of true chi, and rushed into him. Suzan was shocked. If this goes on, his body will have to burst with these forces. What is so special about the protagonist halo? Is this killing me? Suddenly, Suzan felt a warm feeling in his body. Those rioting true chi unexpectedly rushed away from one of his meridians. Then, the second place, the third place. 10 seconds later, Suzan's meridians who were blocked for some reason and couldn't run true chi were all rushed away. At the same time, his cultivation base climbed rapidly. The power of the elixir and the powerful medicinal power of the giant lotus that have accumulated in his body over the years are fully integrated into his body, turning into a tyrannical true chi, rushing through the realm wall. Barrier. Open pulse 5th stage. Open pulse state 6th stage. ... 9th stage. Chi Si realm early stage. Break through the 6 realms. At Dantian, true chi converges to form a white, Chi Si, condensed by true chi. The growth of cultivation base has not stopped. The remaining power of the giant lotus was used up, and his cultivation base directly reached the Chi Si realm middle stage. This also works. Suzan was a little dazed. It took a while before he came back to his senses, and his face was full of joy. The protagonist halo is awesome. At this moment, the servant also felt the changes on Suzan's body. His face changed slightly, and hesitated. Have you broken through to the 5th stage of the open channel? 5th stage. Suzan sneered, walked up to the servant and slapped it directly. Snapped. The servant's body was thrown to the ground, 5 clear fingerprints appeared on one cheek, and 2 teeth with blood was spit out with one mouth. How dare you hit me? Boom. Before he finished speaking, Suzan had already stepped on his face. I know you are Su Heng's dog. I used to be patient with you dog minions, but that doesn't mean I'm a bully. If there is another time, I will blow your mouth. Understand? Ming, understand. Young master, spare your life, spare your life. Feeling Suzan's tough attitude and strength, the anger in the servant's heart was immediately replaced by fear, and he repeatedly begged for mercy. Go back to your master, and tell him to let him take care of his own dog minions, and don't be disgusting people everywhere. Yes. The servant was terrified and his voice trembled. Get out. Kick the servant 4 or 5 meters away with one kick. Suzan turned and headed towards the living room. ... Before long, he came to the meeting room. In addition to Su Tianai, the contemporary patriarch of the Su family, there are also 3 Chi Si realm practitioners from the other 3 families in Qingcheng. Father. Suzan walked to Su Tianai and called out. Zhen'er, you are here. These 3 are elders from the 3 major families, come to congratulate you on your birthday in advance. That is to congratulate me on my birthday in advance. Why don't you see the gift? Suzan glanced at the few people, and said in amazement, or the 3 major families have become so poor that they can't even get a decent birthday gift. Vertical madness. A trivial junior, who is so ignorant of etiquette and recklessly speaking. The people of the 3 major families suddenly became angry. Su Tianai frowned. Okay, the child is here, what do you have to say? You might as well speak up. Patriarch Su, then I'll just say it straight. The towering lotus is a rare wonder of the world. If it is given to the geniuses of the Zhao family, he can break through to the Chi Si realm within 3 days. Suzan is an inferior talent, for nothing. I wasted these strange things. As his father, Patriarch Su, do you want to give us an explanation from the Zhao family? What Brother Zhao said was also what my Chen family meant. Our Li family is the same. The 3 elders of the 3 families stared at Suzan and said one after another. Su Tianai said coldly, the wonders of the heaven and the earth, those who are destined live here. This is true, but since this predestined person is a waste, why waste it in vain? That's right, if your Su Heng from the Su family gets the towering lotus, then we naturally have nothing to say. Yes, since Su Zan has wasted the elixir that was originally shared by the 4 major families of the sacrificial land, then you should give us an explanation. There is persecution in the voices of the 3 major families. The 4 major families in Qingcheng were originally the weakest of the Su family. Now because of the towering lotus matter, the 3 of them temporarily unite, and their arrogance is even more arrogant. Just when Su Tianai looked ugly and didn't know what to do, Su Zan spoke. One bite is wasted for nothing. If I Su Zan get the towering lotus is wasted for nothing, then the people of your 3 major families are even more unworthy. As soon as the voice fell, Qi Si Realm's middle stage aura erupted from Su Zan's body. How is this possible? He is clearly the 4th stage. Even if the towering lotus is refined by luck, it will never reach the Qi Si realm. Open the pulse 4th stage directly to the Qi Si realm middle stage, this is absolutely impossible. Did he hide realm before? Even the best genius of our Zhao family can't use the towering lotus to make a breakthrough to the Qi Si realm middle stage. The 3 elders of the 3 major families were shocked, and they were all shocked in disbelief. Su Zan shook his head and said, that's because the people of your 3 major families are too wasteful. The atmosphere in the living room suddenly freezes. The 3 Qi Si realm elder from the 3 big families looked ugly. Today, I was planning to inquire, but I didn't expect the waste Su Zan to become a genius. On the contrary, their 3 major families were humiliated. Moreover, under 16, Qi Si realm is already in the middle stage. If this kind of genius grows up, Qingcheng will have nothing to do with their 3 big families. No, I absolutely must get rid of this one. Zhao's elder said with a calm face and cupped hands. Patriarch Su, 3 days later, I have prepared a generous gift and come to congratulate. After speaking, he turned around and left. The other 2 big families' elder followed closely behind. Seeing the 3 elders who strayed away, Su Zan sat down comfortably, picked up the teacup, and took a sip of tea. At this moment, a system message appeared in his mind. Ding! Complete the achievement task first revealing edge, and unlock a new halo, Protagonist Perception Halo. Protagonist Perception Halo. I have great ability to comprehend various cultivation technique martial arts. Just look at it and understand, this halo is awesome. Su Zan smiled knowingly. Genre, I didn't expect you to have such strength. Su Tianai's surprised voice sounded. But immediately, he was a little worried. But genre, you shouldn't expose your strength directly. In this way, the people of the 3 major families, I am afraid they will try to get rid of you. Father, do you think if I don't expose, they will let our Su family go? Su Tianai was speechless for a while. The 3 major clans have always looked at the Su family, and they are already in the mood for an alliance at this moment. Naturally, they are preparing to attack the Su family. He can also see this. Seeing Su Tianai's sad look, Su Zan smiled slightly, not feeling any pressure. Patriarchs of the 3 major families are only Qi Si realm late stage, and now they have reached the Qi Si realm middle stage, possessing the cultivation aura, and they will be able to surpass them soon. What's more, now that he has unlocked the aura of perception, the people of the 3 major families, he is even more concerned. Su Zan, how dare you hurt my person? At this moment, an angry voice sounded outside. Only on the first day of the Su family, Su Heng ran in angrily, and the knocked-out servant followed with a grieved expression. After saluting with Su Tianai, the servant pointed to Su Zan. Young master, he not only beat the minion, but also told you to pay attention to him in the future and don't provoke him. Seeing Su Tianai aside, Su Heng converged slightly, and coldly said, Su Zan, how do you explain this matter? Explanation. What's there to explain? Su Zan said. I did fight your dog, and I said what I said. What do you want? You are so arrogant, I want to challenge you. Challenge me. Good. Glancing at Su Heng, Su Zan stood up from his seat and directly exploded with true qi coercion. Ding ding ding. Su Heng, who was extremely close to Su Zan, was forced to go back a few steps by this coercion. A pair of eyes, full of horror, looked at Su Zan. Qi Si realm. It may even have reached the Qi Si realm middle stage. Su Zan, how could he be so strong? A wave of fear rose in Su Heng's heart. Challenges, wins and losses, but also life and death. With Suzan's cultivation base, challenge him yourself. What's the difference between special and death? Come on, let's make a move. Suzan's body is running with true chi, and he is quite excited. He has not taken a shot before coming into this world, so he can take this opportunity to see how strong he is. Sensing that true chi in Suzan's body might burst out at any time, Su Heng trembled in his heart, hurried back, and moved 10 meters away from Suzan, and trembled. No, no, no. I was wrong. I didn't want to challenge. You mean? It doesn't mean that. Then are you looking for me? I look for you. Su Heng's mind turned sharply. His eyes fell on the same shocked servant, as if he saw a life-saving straw. His eyes lit up, and he quickly said, I am looking for you to apologize for my mistake. Su Heng, young master, you. Kneel down. The servant knelt on the ground with a thump. His heart was also terrified. I thought that Suzan would also break through realm, but now it seems that Suzan is actually stronger than Su Heng, the first genius of the Su family. He had known this a long time ago, and given him 100 courage, he would not dare to trouble Suzan again. Apologize, you should really discipline your dog, don't let him bite people everywhere. Suzan was rather disappointed, glanced at the servant, and said lightly. The latter shivered and feared to the extreme. Yes, yes, I must take care of it. Su Heng nodded repeatedly, looked at the servant, gritted his teeth. This bastard actually asked him to trouble Suzan, didn't he want to kill him? Damn it too, snapped. With this slap, the directly drawn servant's mouth was full of blood. Young master, I snapped. Another slap. This is the living room, you have to discipline and take it back. Su Tianai frowned and said, sorry. I was so angry for a while and offended the owner of the house. Su Heng respectfully apologized, and then directly grabbed the blood-spitting servant who was slapped by his 2 slaps and dragged him away. No, no, the minion knew it was wrong. Young master Su Heng spared his life. Following Su Heng for many years, the servants who knew his harsh methods screamed in horror. To no avail. Suzan, young master, spare your life. Suzan, young master. A voice of despair, panic, and regret sounded. I knew today, why bother in the first place? Suzan ignored him, and chatted with Su Tianai for a while. He returned to his residence and took out a martial arts secret book from the cabinet. Fan tier top grade sword technique. Heavenly cold sword technique. This is also the strongest sword technique in the entire Su family. Ordinary people are not qualified to cultivate at all. But Suzan is the son of the patriarch, so naturally he got this sword technique very early. It's just because of poor aptitude that I can't comprehend it at all, and I have been left there forever. Now, with the aura of perception, try again. Taking a deep breath, Suzan turned to the first page of martial arts. Those words that were originally obscure have become extremely simple. Moreover, just looking at it, Suzan gave birth to a feeling that could be displayed immediately. It should be an illusion, you can understand it at a glance, doesn't it mean you can learn it at a glance? Suzan got up hesitantly, took the sword and went to the small courtyard outside, recalled in his mind, and cut it out with a sword. Tian Han sword technique. True chi poured into the sword body, cutting out a half-moon-shaped frost sword chi. The sword chi flew out 5 meters and cut off a peach tree in the yard, covering its cross-section with frost. FK. It's really getting started. Suzan felt like he was dreaming. Martial arts are divided into 4 stages: introductory, minor achievement, great achievement, and peak achievement. It takes at least half a month for ordinary people to get started with Tianan sword technique, but now, he just glanced at it and he has already got started. This is so outrageous. Suzan was pleasantly surprised and continued to cultivate Tianan sword technique. 3 days later, he has just cultivated Tianan sword technique cultivation to the extreme. Ding. Complete the achievement task. First cultivation of martial arts to reach the peak, and unlock the new halo, the Protagonist mood halo. Protagonist mood halo. No matter how rubbish the martial arts, you can cultivate the mood. This is the true protagonist. Artistic conception. Isn't that something that can be cultivated at least with Xuanji martial arts and Ningyuan realm cultivation base? Suzan was stunned for a moment, and tried to cultivate the Tianan sword technique again. Sure enough, the heavenly cold sword technique, who had already reached its peak, went one step further. The sword has not yet arrived, and the icy sword intent has enveloped the front. Really cultivated Tianan's sword intent. Su Zan's eyes lit up, and the sword technique with sword intent is several times more powerful than the one without sword intent. It can be said that with his current strength, he does not necessarily have to use a sword. Just releasing this sword intent can suppress the practitioner below the Qi realm and lose his fighting ability. This is just a preliminary comprehension of sword intent. When you have cultivated Tianan's sword intent to the point of great perfection, you can go down with one sword, and I am afraid that even the strong of Ningyuan realm will not be able to catch it. Young master, the guests are all here, and the birthday banquet is about to begin. Master tells you to go there quickly. A maidservant appeared at the gate of the yard and said respectfully, "The three big families, are you here too?" The handmaid was a little scared and panicked. Patriarchs of the three major families, and a dozen elders are here. There have been so many, it seems that they are determined to turn their faces today. Fortunately, I have to go to the door of the family to save it. Su Zan whispered, a cold light flashed in his eyes, the long sword was sheathed, and he walked out of the courtyard. Banquet hall. As Su Zan walked in, a person with a good face in Qingcheng came to congratulate him, and wanted to establish a relationship with the Su family. Randomly dealt with those people, Su Zan sat on the main seat, his eyes swept over the three major family heads who had been trying to see through his cultivation base realm, with a faint smile on his face. Are the people of the three major families so idle? Even the head of the family is here. The patriarch of the Zhao family sneered, I heard that there is a peerless genius in the Su family. We old bones are very curious. I want to see if it is a real genius. I see it now. It's really amazing. The Chen family patriarch nodded. 16-year-old Qi realm middle stage, in this Qingcheng, no one can compete with you for the title of the first genius. Hearing the words of the Chen family patriarch, the guests were all surprised. Su Zan is actually in the middle stage of Qi realm. Isn't he the fourth stage of the open vein? Hide your powers and bide your time, but since he has been hiding for so many years, why does he take the initiative to appear in front of the three major family patriarchs today? I still haven't calmed down. The three major families are coming fiercely. Today, I am afraid that the Su family is in trouble. Those guests were shocked, but also a little regretful. Now that the patriarchs of the three major families have arrived, it means that they are fully prepared today and are determined to take action against the Su family. A genius is a genius, it might be possible to become a strong one, you know, a genius is easy to die early. Patriarch Li's fingers lightly pressed the tabletop, his tone was cold. Su Tianai's face was gloomy, and he spoke before Su Zan, and scolded, what the hell do you mean? What's the meaning? The three major family patriarchs glanced at each other. The patriarch of the Zhao family said, it's very simple, your son has eaten our common towering lotus, now let him spit it out. Nonsense. The wonders of heaven and earth, those who are predestined live it. Besides, Zhan'er has been refined, how can he spit it out? If you can't spit it out, then you will waste him. Anyway, he can have the Qi realm middle stage cultivation base and rely on the towering lotus. This method is very fair. Li family patriarch said coldly. Fart. Over the years I have been more patient with your three major families, but you really think my Su family is so bullying? Su Tianai was furious and got up suddenly. Qi realm's peak momentum erupted from his body, a pair of eyes, glaring at the Li family patriarch. The Chen family patriarch said, Brother Su, for the sake of years of friendship, this is an opportunity for you. If you are stubborn, today, the four major families in Qingcheng, your Su family can be removed. In this sentence, the faces of the Su family changed, and even the guests who came to pay the congratulations got up from their seats in fear, and retreated to the side, for fear of being affected. Su Jada elder Su Tianyan said, Patriarch, today's situation is forced, it is worse than. Shut up, I will never sacrifice Zhan'er. Su Tianai rebuked, drew out the long sword directly, and stopped in front of Su Zan. Today, whoever wants to harm my son, step over my corpse first. Su Tianyan looked gloomy and said, Su Tianai, don't know what is good or bad. Su Zan was originally a waste, but now it has changed with the towering lotus, but the essence is still despicable. My son Su Heng is better than him. But because of his status, he couldn't become the young master of the Su family. Is this fair? If you insist on not realizing today, then you will get out of the Su family and don't drag down our entire Su family. You want to rebel. Ha! Patriarch's position is where the capable one lives. You have been sitting on this one for long enough. It's time to change people. Su Tianyan said coldly. The people of the three major families all smiled at each other. 100-legged insects die but are not stiff, not to mention the Su family's profound background. If the Su family is united, they will inevitably suffer heavy casualties, but now, Su Tianyan, whom they bought in advance, has played a role. As long as Su Tianai is isolated and kills Su Tianai, Su Tianyan is nothing more than a puppet patriarch, allowing them to control it. This result is better than destroying the Su family directly. You have passed anger with people from the three major families. Su Tianai took a look at it, looked angry, took a deep breath, and whispered, "Janur, I will hold the three major family heads later, you and the housekeeper will run away. He has been with me for decades and will do his best. Keep you complete." "Father, why bother?" Su Zan shook his head, put down the teacup in his hand, got up from his seat, looked at the people of the three major families, and said, "Why are you talking about so much nonsense? I'm here, I have the ability, come and kill me. Arrogant child, do not know whether to live or die." Patriarch Zhao's eyes cold, and he took a palm. In the space ahead, a wave condensed by true qi appears. With extremely terrifying power, swept towards Su Zan. It's the Zhao family's secret technique, Sea Wave Palm. Patriarch Zhao's Sea Wave Palm has been cultivated to the point where it reaches its peak. Even Su Tianai may not be able to take this palm down. It seems that Su Zan is going to die. Everyone's eyes focused on Su Zan. Just as Su Tianai was about to make a move, Su Zan had already taken the lead one step at a time. Sword intent is coming. The temperature in the entire banquet hall suddenly dropped. And that wave was directly frozen in ice and shattered in the air. Half-Moon Frost Sword Chi was cut down, and the patriarch of the Zhao family was cut in two, his body covered with frost. One sword, the head. Everyone was stunned. Sword intent. Sword intent. However, when will Tianan's sword technique be able to cultivate a sword intent? Moreover, just Qi Si Realm realized the sword intent, is Su Zan still a human? Patriarch of the Zhao family, is actually so weak. Su Zan himself was also a little surprised. He thought he needed a fierce battle, but he didn't expect that a sword would be seconds away. Killing the patriarch of the Zhao family with one sword, his gaze turned to the other two patriarchs. "Next, it's your turn." The two masters were shocked, but immediately, they both showed desperate looks. "Today has been torn apart, we have no retreat." Brother Zhao was too careless. "Our two big families already know your true strength at this time. I don't believe it. You can kill us with a single sword." The two patriarchs gritted their teeth and said, leading more than a dozen Qi Si Realm elders, and attacked Su Zan. "I really can't kill you with a single sword." Su Zan was a little speechless. "But I can use two swords." "How can you become the patriarch of your mental retardation?" Sighing, Su Zan's long sword danced. Frost sword intent came, two swords killed the two most powerful patriarchs. "Master Su is spared, we are willing to surrender." Seeing that the patriarch was unbearable in front of Su Zan, those elders were terrified in their hearts, and they all knelt down without regard to their faces. "Return." Su Zan hesitated and looked at Su Tianai. "Father, what do you think?" Su Tianai was completely confused at this time. Hearing Su Zan's words, the corners of his mouth twitched. "What do you think of me? Can I say I look silly? One sword killed the patriarch of the Zhao family at the peak of Qi Si Realm, isn't your kid too perverted?" After a while, Su Tianai recovered from the shock and said excitedly, "Okay. Okay, my Su family, a real dragon is born today. Ha ha ha." He laughed loudly, and then said, "As for these people, they are all Qi Si Realm practitioners. After being taken over, it will be of great help to the strength of our Su family, Ascension. Then take it back." Su Zan nodded without paying too much attention to it. Su Tianai patted Su Zan on the shoulder, unable to restrain his surprise, and said, "Janur, if you hadn't killed all those who intended to murder my Su family today, our Su family would really suffer a catastrophe. Speaking of it, you kid has a talent for hiding his strength. Even your father has hidden it." Su Zan smiled slightly. "Father, thanks to your medicinal materials. As for all the kills, it seems that one has been missed. As soon as the voice fell, Su Tianyan, who was standing behind and staring blankly, turned pale, his legs were soft, and he knelt on the ground with a plop. Suzan, patriarch, I was just confused for a while. I never meant to harm the Su family. Whether you mean to harm the Su family, I can't be sure. The cold light flashed in Suzan's eyes, and a sword pierced out. But, you want me to die, there is no doubt about this. The frost sword intent came, and Su Tianyan was slashed by a sword without any resistance. Father! Su Heng rushed forward, kneeling beside Su Tianyan crying heartbreakingly. The upper beam is not straight and the lower beam is crooked. Suzan glanced at Su Heng, then turned around, ignoring it. Su Tianyan deserved his sin. As for Su Heng, the biggest backer in the Su family has fallen, and life will not be easy in the future. Afterwards, Suzan glanced at the many guests present. He said lightly, today, the three big clans, Elder Su Tianyan, intends to murder me. Now they have all received their due punishment. The Su family will collect their assets one by one in the near future. You are all celebrities from Qingcheng. Opinion. No. The three major families deserve their sins. Young Master Su is a talented person who beats the three major families at the age of 16. Master Su is handsome, he is a talented person. I happen to have a little girl who is also a shameless flower. I wonder if Master Su can meet him. Closed moon shame flower. Suzan moved slightly in his heart and looked at the man. How old is your daughter? 9 years old this year. 9 years old. Your uncle, you are still a primary school student at the age of 9. Suzan's face turned dark. Get out. Am I like such a beast? The man was driven out with a depressed look. In the fantasy world, a woman who has grown up at the age of 14 can already be married at the age of 9, so he would say such words. The birthday party continues. However, everyone at the banquet was not in the mood to eat and drink, and all their attention was focused on Suzan, who looked plain. This son is really the reincarnation of a real dragon. It's only the middle stage of Qi realm at the age of 16. He managed to defeat the three big families with one person. It's terrifying. Tianan's sword technique, but the common rank sword technique can cultivate a sword intent in Suzan's hands. I think he is not the reincarnation of a true dragon, but the reincarnation of the heavenly sword immortal. It's a pity that the old man's daughter is only 7 years old, otherwise I have to introduce young Master Su. What happened, alas. The guests talked while drinking. Suzan was a little speechless in the audience. What these people are thinking in their heads, they can still be considered at the age of 17. After dealing with the guests who had come up to make a relationship, Suzan continued to eat and drink. It didn't take long for the birthday party to end. He walked out of the banquet hall and returned to his residence. In the next few days, the Su family began to take over the sites and resources of the three major families. And Suzan also got the top cultivation technique and martial arts of the three major families. They are all top grades. Now that I have sword technique, I still need a movement technique to enhance my combat power. And because of the poor talent, the cultivation technique of cultivation is just the usual cultivation technique of the Su family, and I can also change to a cultivation technique. Suzan muttered to himself. His eyes fell on the entire Qingcheng, the strongest dozens of cultivation technique martial arts. Vajra tactics, temper the body, the bones are as hard as steel, and the strength is increased. Wind step, you can use the power of the wind to make your figure erratic and increase your speed. Yan fist, hit with one punch, forming a flame to kill the enemy. The broken jade finger is a fingering technique that kills in one hit, it is only suitable for close combat. Han Yugong can cultivate true Qi with the icy cold attribute, and kill the enemy while fighting. A cultivation technique, martial arts was quickly browsed by him. In the end, he chose something suitable for his cultivation to start cultivation. After half a month, the Su family completely mastered all the power of the three major families and became the only big family in Qingcheng. And Suzan also walked out of the courtyard on this day. Compared to half a month ago, his height was 5 centimeters taller, his muscle lines became more symmetrical and perfect, even his temperament was more dusty, and there was a hint of the noble and coldness of Tianshan snow lotus. That is the change brought to him by the Vajra-ju, of physical training in martial arts, and the Han Yugong, of cultivation technique. In the past half-month, he has cultivated 3 martial arts and 1 cultivation technique to the extreme. However, the halo panel has not changed, and a new halo has not been opened for a long time. It seems that if you want to open a new aura, you can't hide here and get bored, you still have to go for a walk. In this world, not only humans are cultivated, but beasts are also cultivated into demonic beasts. Maybe I can go to the barren mountains outside the city to kill demonic beasts or something. The first time I hunt demonic beasts, maybe it is also an achievement mission. After murmured a few words, Suzan called up the main attribute panel. Host, Suzan. Cultivation base, Qi Si realm middle stage. Cultivation technique, Han Yugong, Zochin. Martial arts, Tian Han sword technique, climbing to the extreme, wind step climbing to the extreme, broken jade finger climbing to the extreme, Vajra-ju climbing to the extreme. Although it is only the Qi Si realm middle stage, it has 3 culmination and even cultivation of the sword technique, footwork, fingering, and cultivation technique to the point of great perfection. Suzan's combat power is already more condensed than most. Yuanjing's practitioner is still strong. In the barren mountains outside Qingcheng, it is almost the same if you can walk sideways. Just as he was about to leave Su's house, a maid walked up to him and said respectfully, "Young master, the master is looking for you in a hurry." Urgent matter. Now that the Qingcheng clan only has the Su family, what else can be urgent? Suzan was a little surprised, and followed the maid to the room. Su Tianai has been waiting inside for a long time. "Father, what can you do with me?" "Genre, do you remember little sister Teru who used to play with you when you were young?" Teruitsu, little sister. Suzan was stunned for a moment, and it took several seconds before he remembered. Some puzzled asked, "It's Su Jiaoyu. I haven't seen her for 8 or 9 years, and I have forgotten the appearance." "Dad, what did you say about this suddenly?" Su Tianai sighed, took out a marriage contract from his sleeve and placed it on the table. Some helplessly said, "Zan, the Su family in Tancheng and our Qingcheng Su family have some origins, and Su Jiaoyu's father and I are close friends. We had an in-law relationship with him. Later, Su Jiaoyu's father after passing away, everyone had almost forgotten about this matter, and no one mentioned it. But yesterday, I received a copy of the flying pigeon from the Su family in Tancheng, saying that Su Jiaoyu had been silent for 3 years. Once she awakened her talent, now she is too far away from you, and the marriage contract should be cancelled. Man, I have already set off yesterday, I am afraid it will be coming soon." Quote. After listening to Su Tianai's words, Suzan's face turned weird. Never expected it. The divorce who should have come when he was very weak is coming now. He can tell those people with his current talent and strength, 30 years in Hedong and 30 years in Hexi, or something like that. Doesn't it seem appropriate? Genre, don't be too disappointed. If you retire, it is their Tancheng Su family who has suffered a big loss. Seeing Suzan's silence, Su Tianai thought that Suzan was hit, and quickly comforted, "My son is a real dragon, and he will be famous in the world in the future. How can that little baby be compared with my son even with his awakening talent?" "Father, you are right." Suzan smiled. "Retire and retreat, trivial matter." Genre, are you really letting go? Su Tianai was so open-minded. Su Tianai was a little worried, he hesitated. "I remember that you were very close to Jiaoyu when you were a little girl, and now she is coming to divorce, regardless of your face, you." Suzan smiled and said, "As you said, Dad, the Su family in Tancheng is not worthy. Since they are not worthy, what is a pity? It would be great if you could think so." Su Tianai has been observing Suzan, feeling that he really said these words sincerely, but also let go, and said with some shame, "Speaking of it, it's your father, I'm not up for it, if." "Do not talk like that." Suzan shook his head. "Mother died early. If you hadn't taken care of me for so many years without your father, with my 16 years of useless status, in this Su family, it is impossible to grow up safely. That's it for retiring. I'll be ready later." Leaving Qingcheng, go to the barren mountains outside the city to cultivation martial arts. Leaving Qingcheng, you must be present when the marriage contract is terminated. I'll be back soon without delay. This. Su Tianai hesitated for a moment, and said in a puzzled way, if you want to cultivate martial arts, why can't you cultivate at home? It's hard to achieve a person's cultivation. I need a pair of training so that I can go all out and know that my own is insufficient. Suzan smiled and said, now Qingcheng's Qi Si Realm peak level practitioner is just a dad, or dad you accompany me. Forget it, I'm the head of the family, I have everything in my life. Janur, you should go to the barren mountain to find those demonic beasts to practice. Su Tianai's scalp was numb, and he quickly refused. What a joke. Practice against you, a pervert. Do you want to go all out? I think you don't want your father to practice with me. What is so special about you want to kill your father and me? Su Tianai slandered in his heart and watched Suzan leave. Barren mountains outside the city. Vajra tactics. A faint golden light appeared on the surface of Suzan's skin, and he punched it out, smashing the skull of a tiger-like demonic beasts. That's not right. It's not that at the same level, demonic beasts are several times stronger than humans and indestructible. Why is this tier 2 demonic beast so fragile? Seeing the tiger demonic beasts killed by a punch, Suzan muttered to himself in surprise. The second-order demonic beasts are equal to the human Qi Si realm practitioner, and the third-order demonic beasts can be compared to the Ning Yuan realm. It seems that such demonic beasts can no longer force my full strength and cannot achieve the best cultivation effect. Maybe you can try tier 3 demonic beasts. With a whisper, Suzan swiftly moved his steps, his body erratic, as if a gust of breeze was moving forward. A few hours later, outside Qingcheng is on an ancient road in the mountains. A train convoy is moving forward. There are a total of 3 carriages. Around the carriage, there are dozens of knights guarding them. Not long on the ancient road, a cavalry leader wearing bright yellow armor came to the front of the carriage, waved to the coachman to stop, and said, Patriarch, in this barren mountain outside Qingcheng, it is rumored that one of them has reached 3. The bloodtooth beast of the middle stage. This ancient road has recently been abandoned because of this beast, or we should go around the barren mountain. How long does it take to go around? 1 day, 1 day. 1 day. The voice in the carriage sank and coldly snorted, I can't wait for an hour to terminate Zhao Yu's marriage contract with that waste. You let me wait 1 more day. But demonic beasts is very sensitive to human practitioners. So many of us pass this ancient road, I'm afraid. What are you afraid of? If that beast really doesn't know what is good or bad, the old man doesn't mind shooting it. In the middle stage of the Ning Yuan realm, no one can resist the old man's thunder fist. This beast is naturally no exception. Yes, the knight leader left anxiously, and the convoy continued on. Roar. Not long after the convoy continued to move forward, a huge beast roar sounded. Alert. The knight leader was shocked and commanded loudly. Everyone looked at the mountains ahead with fear. Bang, bang. The earth began to tremble. The big trees in the forest were knocked down violently. A few seconds later, a huge demonic beast with a height of 5 meters and a body length of more than 10 meters appeared in the field of vision. The whole body is black, with deep fur, a bit like a wild boar. The 2 huge blood-red fangs are stained with blood, and they seem to have penetrated demonic beasts or human bodies not long ago. Bloodfang. The cavalry leader who reached the early stage of the Ning Yuan realm shrank his pupils and immediately roared, a salvo of bows and arrows. Shoo. A metal arrow with practitioner's great strength is shot out. But those arrows shot on the bloodtooth beast, unable to penetrate even its skin. Instead, it angered the bloodfang beast and ran towards the convoy. Those cavalrymen are like ants in front of the bloodtooth beast, they will die if they touch it. Even the cavalry leader of the Ning Yuan realm flew out with 1 claw and fell to the ground, his life or death unknown. Ha! A beast who lives and lives. The sound of furious anger sounded, and Su Chengyan, the contemporary patriarch of the Su family in Tancheng, who was more than 60 years old, flew out of the carriage, stunned with his true essence, and went straight to the bloodfang beast. It's the patriarch. The patriarch took action. The strength of the patriarch has reached the middle stage of the Ning Yuan realm, that animal must not be an opponent. The strength of the patriarch, even in the same rank practitioner, belongs to the powerhouse level, a bloodfang beast, of course. Seeing Su Chengyan's move, everyone in the Su family became excited, as if they had grabbed a life-saving straw. But soon, their hopes were shattered. Just the moment of the fight, Su Chengyan was beaten to vomit blood and fly out. Second grandfather, what's wrong with you? Wearing a light green long skirt with delicate features, Su Jiaoyu ran out of the second carriage and supported Su Chengyan. It was my carelessness. This blood-tooth beast has reached the third order late stage level. I will try my best to stop this beast later, you take this opportunity to escape. Su Chengyan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, his face was miserable, and his heart was filled with regret and despair. Second grandfather, how could I leave you and run away alone? Besides, although this blood-tooth beast is powerful, but we are crowded and we work together, it may not be without. Second grandfather, look. Before Su Jiaoyu finished speaking, her eyes showed surprise and pointed her finger forward. In the mountains and forest behind the blood-tooth beast, a handsome young man rushed out extremely fast. His long sword was covered with a layer of frost, and he walked towards the blood-tooth beast with an outstandingly dusty temperament. It looks like he is only 16 or 17 years old, and he has reached the Qi realm middle stage. Little Qingcheng, when is there such a genius? Su Chengyan's eyes condensed, and he was surprised, but immediately, he sighed. Qi realm middle stage, like an ant in front of the blood-tooth beast, the boy is just sending him to death. At this time, the rest of the team also noticed the appearance of Su Zan. Who is that person, dare to shoot a sword at the blood-tooth beast? At a young age, I reached the Qi realm middle stage, genius. Qi realm middle stage. Patriarch is the Ning Yuan realm middle stage, and he is not the opponent of this blood-tooth beast. Who gives him the courage? Don't worry about so much, since this fool is going to die, we just took advantage of this opportunity to get out and escape. Voices sounded one after another, and the guard cavalry backed one after another. But before they quit a few steps, they looked forward as if they had seen a ghost. I saw that the handsome young man dressed in brocade clothes pierced out with a sword, and there was a burst of frost and cold around the blood-tooth beast. At the same time, the skin of the teenager's body exudes a faint golden luster, and there is a cyan wind surging on the legs, and the speed erupts instantly. Oh my god, that's a sword intent. Looking at his sword technique, it seems to be Tianin's sword technique. Stupid you. How can Tianin's sword technique cultivate a sword intent? No matter what kind of sword technique he cultivates, the problem is that it is unreasonable for a person from Qi realm middle stage to display sword intent. The guards of the Su family in Tancheng, some of the servants, maids, and a few elders all were a little dumbfounded. Su Chengyan looked excited. No, it's not just sword intent. The wind step, the peak wind step, the peak Vajra technique, Zochin level Han Yugong. In one sword, there are 3 peak martial arts, and 1 cultivation technique of the top mortal rank that has cultivated to perfection. 2 abnormal. Su Jiaoyu's beautiful eyes were also full of surprises, her mouth opened slightly, a little unbelievable. Even she has only cultivated 1 master to reach the highest level, but the unknown young man in front of her has displayed 3 masters of martial arts at the highest level. Too exaggerated. Just when everyone in the Su family in Tancheng was amazed by it, Su Zan had already formally confronted the Bloodfang beast. Under the threat of Tianin's sword intent, the Bloodfang beast also used its strongest power without hesitation. The 2 Bloodfangs exude a scarlet light, and a faint red light emerges all over the body. Whether it is power or speed, there is an increase in this state. Boom! The long sword collided with Bloodfang. A huge force surged along the sword body towards Su Zan's body, he tapped his toes and stepped back. And that blood-tooth beast slid back more than 10 meters directly. A large amount of dust was stirred up on the ground. On the extremely hard blood-tooth, there was a very obvious slashing trace. The whole body was red and dim, it seemed that sword had almost collapsed the strongest defense of the Bloodfang beast. This animal is really rough and thick. Su Zan muttered to himself. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and he rushed toward the Bloodfang beast with his peaked gust of wind. Roar! The Bloodfang beast was also very angry. Facing Su Zan's sword, he couldn't avoid it, and he took a big mouth, and suddenly bit Su Zan's long sword. Boom! It's just that the mortal weapon level long sword broke under the huge bite force of the bloodtooth beast. Of course, before the break, countless frost sword chi burst out from the sword, slashing the blood-tooth beast's mouth to a bloody mouth. With a mouth full of blood and biting off the long sword, the bloodtooth roared in excitement, feeling that the small human in front of him was not afraid of destroying the sword. Just when it attacked Suzan with two huge blood fangs, Suzan pointed out with his right hand. Suddenly, a trace of vigor appeared on the fingers. A sharp meaning to break everything appeared. Broken jade finger. Boom. This time, the blood-toothed beast that was already badly wounded was directly blasted out. The huge body fell to the ground, sinking that piece of land. A blood hole appeared on the top of the head, and blood was flowing. It is true that Yijua does not press down. It seems that I still need cultivation fist technique, so that when the fingering sword technique is restricted, there are still other ultimate moves. Seeing the blood-toothed beast blasted by him with broken jade fingers, Suzan whispered to himself. Ding. Complete the achievement mission. Hero save the beauty, and unlock a new halo, Protagonist Charm Halo. Charm aura of the protagonist. Let others ignore the shortcomings of the protagonist, and strengthen their affection for the protagonist. Ascension is attractive to the opposite sex, even if it is to pick up the tatters, it can make a lot of beautiful women fall in love. This is the temperament that belongs to the protagonist. Suzan was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect to kill demonic beasts for the first time without unlocking the halo, but now he unlocked it inexplicably. And the unlocked halo, why doesn't it look so serious? Besides, what's the use of this halo? Just when Suzan secretly complained, he suddenly felt a lot of scorching eyes. He glanced back. I saw that the maids who had been stunned by his strength at this time were already reddened, and there was an obsessive color in their eyes, looking at him with great admiration. There are still a few, with their legs clamped, their bodies squeezed, their faces flushed, and they don't know what indescribable things are thinking. Suzan was speechless. If this halo is placed on the earth, it is definitely an artifact that countless little white faces who want to eat soft rice dream of. Think about it, if you stop there, a bunch of rich women can rush to take care of you. That scene. Wait, rich women, shouldn't they be old women? Suzan's expression changed, and he quickly stopped imagining, and gave Su Jiaoyu a surprised look. Under the influence of the protagonist charm halo, Su Jiaoyu also showed a little admiration, but his performance was obviously not as strong as those of the maids. Could it be said that the stronger the strength, the less affected by the halo? Or, this charm halo is ascension as my strength ascension? Suzan was guessing in his heart. That blood-toothed beast struggling from the ground suddenly got up again, and fled toward the forest like crazy. The vitality of this animal is so strong. Suzan was a little surprised, stepping on a hurricane step, and chasing after the bloodfang beast that was already at the end of the crossbow. After Suzan and the bloodfang beast disappeared in the forest, the talents of the team came back to their senses. Broken jade fingers, the best broken jade fingers. Even, they have cultivated a fingering artistic conception. Su Chengyan exclaimed again and again, it's incredible. The old man has lived for 63 years. This kind of enchanting genius is simply unseen and unheard of. Su Jiaoyu was still looking at the mountain and forest, startled, and for a while, her red lips lightly opened. Second grandpa, I think that person seems familiar, like someone I have seen. Oh, you actually know this Tianzhao. Su Chengyan's eyes lit up, and he hurriedly said, think about it, who is he? This kind of enchanting genius, the power behind it may be too large for us to imagine. It is our Su family who can have a little relationship with him. Great opportunity. He. Su Jiaoyu's lovely brows frowned, thought for a while, and hesitated. He seems to be Suzan. Suzan. That was the waste of fourth stage after more than 10 years of cultivation. Su Chengyan shook his head repeatedly. It's impossible. That Suzan is a world apart from this enchanting genius. You must be wrong. After all, you haven't seen it for so many years, and your appearance has changed a lot. This, maybe. Su Jiaoyu also felt that there was a big gap between this genius boy and the trash Suzan she had heard of, and nodded. Suzan, if he is Suzan. Su Chengyan said a little funny. Don't say that Suzan has such a talent. Even if he can reach 1/10 of this enchanting genius, I will not be so decisive to return this marriage for you. But it is achieved. 1/10 of this enchanting genius, to that Suzan, is no different from a foolish dream, right? Ha ha. Second grandfather, the cultivation talent is poor, but this is not a reason to belittle Suzan so much. Su Jiaoyu frowned and said, what's more, I am retiring not only because of his low talent, but because I have no relationship with him. I rashly decided on in-laws just because of a joke from my elders. Zhao Yu's path is not something ordinary people can follow. Forcibly married, on the contrary, it will harm him. Good. My baby granddaughter is right. Su Chengyan smiled. He glanced at the dead guards, and his heart became heavy again. If he hadn't insisted on walking this mountain road, he wouldn't have caused the Su family to suffer such losses. After sighing, Su Chengyan said, "Let's go, Zhao Yu, go to Qingcheng Su's family and return this marriage earlier, so you can concentrate on cultivation." Su Zhaoyu nodded and returned to the carriage. The wounded were treated roughly, and the convoy moved on. At this time, Su Zan had also caught up with the bloodtooth beast. Broken jade pointed on the back of his neck, bursting out with energy, and completely blasted and killed the bloodtooth beast that was originally the end of the crossbow. The flesh and blood consumption of Tier 3 demonic beasts is good for practitioner cultivation, and bones and fur are also good materials for refiners. Looking at the bloodtooth beast for a while, Su Zankong pointed his fingers like a knife, twisting vigorously, and directly broke the bloodtooth skin and flesh, and took off a pair of bloodtooths. This bloodtooth beast is too big to be convenient to take home. In that case, take the most valuable pair of bloodtooth. It just so happens that you can use this pair of blood fangs to create a sword, made of Tier 3 demonic beasts materials. It should be at least the spirit weapon level. Weapons are divided into 5 levels: ordinary weapons, spiritual weapons, mysterious weapons, king weapons, and divine armament. The long sword that was bitten off by the bloodtooth beast was of the rank of mortal weapon. Of course, it also belongs to the top grade among the ordinary artifacts, and the ordinary Ning Yuan realm practitioner is very difficult to destroy, but the bite force of the bloodtooth beast is too exaggerated to destroy the long sword. Picking up a pair of blood teeth, Su Zan did not continue to stay in the barren mountain, and began to return towards the Su family. Among the barren mountains, the bloodtooth beast had the strongest combat power. Now that the bloodtooth beast was killed, there was nothing left to stay. Qingcheng Su's house. In the meeting room, Su Tianai and several important Su elders looked nervously at Su Chengyan and others who were walking in from the gate. Although they are all from the Su family in Tancheng, but there are many strong people in the Lian Ning Yuan realm. The strength of the two families is very different. Therefore, even as the main party, the elders of the Su family in Qingcheng are still. It is in my heart that I am afraid that something serious will endanger the entire Su family. Su Tianai showed a polite smile and said, "You guys have worked hard all the way, or else." "No need." Su Chengyan interrupted Su Tianai's words directly, and said calmly, "Su Tianai, you and my nephew are good friends. I also count you as half an elder. Everyone is a family, don't need to be polite, just talk about business." "Zhao Yu has seen Uncle Tianai." Su Zhaoyu stepped forward and saluted. Su Chengyan glanced at Su Tianai with a look of pride. "Su Tianai, this is my granddaughter Su Zhaoyu. She is only 15 years old, but now she is already a Qi Si realm practitioner. Ask yourself, your Su family has someone to match. Do you FK her?" "Second grandpa." Su Zhaoyu frowned, a little angry that Su Chengyan was so straightforward. "Zhaoyu, since he has come to divorce, what's wrong with these things?" Su Chengyan said. "Moreover, I didn't exaggerate anything, it's just a fact." "Fact." Su Tianai put a smile on his face and said coldly, "The marriage can be retired, but the reason is not that my genre is not worthy of Zhao Yu niece, but that your Su family is too snobbish and not worthy of my son." "You, what did you say?" Su Chengyan was immediately angry, and the aura of the middle stage of the Ning Yuan realm came out, covering all the Su family members in front of him, including Su Tianai. "Second grandfather, we are here to make sense, not to intimidate Uncle Sub." Su Zhaoyu looked at Su Chengyan, very unhappy. Good. Reasonable. Su Chengyan was obviously very fond of Su Zhaoyu, and quickly put away the coercion, and glanced at the pale and fearful elder, and he showed a hint of smile. Reasonable. Now that these people have seen the powerful strength of the old man, then they don't dare to talk nonsense. I don't believe it, the little Qingcheng Su family is really not afraid of death. With a sneer in his heart, Su Chengyan said, as Zhao Yu said, the marriage contract was just a trifling matter. Moreover, the gap between Zhao Yu and Su Zan is too big. The two will inevitably drag Zhao Yu and Su Tianai together. Since we retired from the Su family, if you take the initiative, then our Su family will also compensate you. I don't care about your compensation. Su Tianai took a deep breath, and said, just you have to know that if you retired today, don't regret it in the future. Regret? Su Chungyun was stunned for a moment, thinking that he had heard it wrong. Immediately, he laughed and said, the old man will never regret it. Now that you agree, let that Su be cut out. After all, it is his and Teryu's business. Make it clear in person and destroy the marriage contract before it counts. Genre he. Su Tianai paused for a while, looked at the door, stunned for a moment, showing a slight smile, and continued, genre, he is already here. I don't have any problems, let's quit. Su Zan said indifferently, and walked in from the door. At this time, Su Chungyun and the others also turned their heads and looked at them. The moment their eyes fell on Su Zan's face, they were all stunned. No, it's impossible, it's impossible. Su Chungyun stretched out two skinny old hands, rubbed his eyes vigorously, stared at Su Zan firmly, and asked in a dry voice, are you Su Zan? Su Zan was also a little surprised at this time. He didn't expect that the people he met in the barren mountain were the ones who wanted to divorce. He glanced at the dumbfounded people of the Su family in Tancheng, and his tone was cold. I am Su Zan, don't talk nonsense, take out your Su family's marriage certificate. Destroy it together, this marriage is invalid. An elder from the Su family in Tancheng subconsciously took out the marriage certificate and handed it to Su Zan. And many more. Just when Su Zan was about to get the marriage certificate, Su Chungyun suddenly grabbed the marriage certificate. Holding the marriage letter tightly in his hand like a treasure, Su Chungyun squeezed out a smile. Little friend Su Zan, I think we still need to think about divorce. Don't think about it, you want to divorce, I have agreed. Su Zan's eyes fell on Su Chungyun, and he said calmly, now that you have got your wish, what else can you consider? Su Chungyun looked bitter. Which bastard said that Su Zan was useless? 16-year-old Chi Si realm in the middle stage, 4 martial arts school reached its peak. If this is waste, is there any genius in the world? Su Chungyun was so depressed, he couldn't wait to arrest those who spread rumors that Su Zan was rubbish. If it weren't for these bastards, how could he come to divorce? If you don't come to divorce, with Su Zan's enchanting talents, you will surely be able to take their Tancheng Su family into the sky in the future. It is not impossible to become one of the strongest families in Sha Kingdom. But now, I unexpectedly come to retreat to such an enchanting genius. Su Chungyun repented of his intestines, and quickly remedied. Little friend Su Zan, I was confused for a while, and I followed the rumors of those outside. See you today, where are you little friend Su Zan, a waste of the population? Obviously is a real peerless arrogant. Quote. After a pause, Su Chungyun took Su Jiaoyu, who was still in a daze, a step forward, and said with a smile, it just so happens that my granddaughter is also the daughter of heaven, and you, the proud son of heaven, are created by heaven and earth. That's right, it's perfect for you to be together. As soon as the words fell, the elders who followed the Su family in Tancheng also spoke up one after another. Yes, yes, yes. Young Master Su Zan is a talented person, and Miss Jiaoyu is pure and beautiful, and the two of them have a very good match. Unexpectedly, young Master Su Zan was a young hero who shot righteously on the barren mountain. Our Su family is grateful to young Master Su Zan. Since we have this opportunity, we just happen to be married. Our Su family in Tancheng will definitely prepare a very grand one, dowry. Young Master Su Zan is an amazing talent, and only Jiaoyu Miss can be worthy of it. Complimentary words sounded one after another. The elders of the Su family in Qingcheng, including Su Tianai, were a little dumbfounded. What's the situation? The arrogant person of the Su family in Tancheng, after Su Zan appeared, he nodded and bowed, so pleased. Is this face changing too fast? Listening to the words of those people, Su Zan's heart was calm, and said, you really decided not to divorce. Really true, absolutely true. Su Chungyun said quickly. All the elders also nodded again and again, for fear of missing the chance to get a relationship with Su Zan. You won't divorce. Su Zan's mouth curled slightly, revealing a faint smile, but I want to retire. What does this mean? The smile that Su Chungyun had just shown dissipated, and he stuttered a little. Your Tancheng Su family can withdraw from my marriage, and of course I can withdraw from your marriage. Su Zan glanced at Su Chungyun. Don't talk nonsense, it is not your Su family in Tancheng who retired today, but our Su family in Qingcheng canceled the marriage. Turning his head slightly, looking at Su Tianai, Su said, Father, bring the marriage appointment. Good. Su Tianai responded loudly, took out the marriage contract that had been prepared a long time ago, and handed it to Suzan. From now on, my Suzan has nothing to do with your Tancheng Su family. The voice just fell. Suzan Truchi erupted, and the marriage contract in his hand burst into confetti. Everyone from the Su family in Tancheng flushed, and felt that they had suffered a great humiliation. Originally, they had come to divorce today, but they didn't expect that after they begged in a low voice, the marriage contract would be ruined face to face. Your wedding letter from the Su family in Tancheng, if you don't want to destroy it, keep it as a souvenir. Anyway, it's a piece of waste paper. Taking a look at Su Chengyan who regretted it, Suzan said calmly. Suzan, I have something to tell you. At this moment, Su Jiaoyu, who had been silent and watched all this silently, suddenly spoke. Say it. Can we talk alone? Looking at Su Jiaoyu's face, Suzan nodded. Afterwards, the two came to the small garden outside the meeting room. Suzan, even if you are so proud now, even if you don't tell me about this marriage, I will still quit. Su Jiaoyu slowly said, I always feel that getting married is a lifelong matter. At best, you and I can only be regarded as childhood playmates. Is there really a relationship between men and women between us? Obviously no. Since there is no relationship, the marriage contract should be cancelled. Of course, there is another consideration for me to cancel the marriage contract. Su Jiaoyu thought of something and smiled embarrassedly. If you are really as low as the rumors, you and I keep the marriage contract, you will cause a lot of trouble. In Tancheng, I have many suitors, I don't want to hurt you, but when I saw you today, I realized that I was thinking too much. It turned out to be so. Suzan's gaze stayed on Su Jiaoyu's face, confirming that the other party hadn't lied, and his impression of him in his heart was a little better. The Su family of Tancheng, power, despicable, but Su Jiaoyu, but there is no reason for him to feel disgusted. In that case, everyone is happy. Everyone is happy. Su Jiaoyu smiled bitterly, nodded reluctantly, took out a small black token from the storage bracelet and handed it to Suzan. This is the ban-breaking token for the ruins of the Yuandan realm strongman in Liangzhou. The debilitating cycle of the ruins, defense formation has arrived. If you want, I would like to invite you to go with you, and it will be repaying your life-saving grace. Quote. The relics of Yuandan realm powerhouse. The memory appeared in Suzan's mind. This ruin is actually not a big secret, many cultivators in Liangzhou know it, but the formation is too strong for no one to dare to break. Later, a formation master discovered that every 3 years, the formation of that site would enter a period of weakness. With the breaking of the ban made by the first formation master in Liangzhou, it was possible to enter the ruins during this time. Of course, it is only limited to below the Bingzhou realm, otherwise the formation will be strangulated at the moment of entering the ruins, leaving a dead end. The price of a ban-breaking ban is about 3,000 spirit stones, which is more expensive than ordinary spirit weapons. Good. After thinking about the pros and cons, Suzan directly agreed. It just so happens that the cultivation technique of cultivation is almost unable to keep up with his cultivation base. In the ruins, a replacement cultivation technique may be found. Well, then we will meet at the eastern entrance of the ruins. In time, 5 days from now. The formation will be at the most debilitating stage at that time. Well, just as you said. Afterwards, the two exchanged details and returned to the meeting room. Su Chengyan, who was waiting in the living room, thought that Su Jiaoyu was going to find Suzan to redeem the marriage contract. When Su Jiaoyu came back, he quickly asked in a low voice, Jiaoyu, how is it? It's okay, second grandpa, let's go back. The marriage. Withdrawal, our two families will no longer be involved in the future. Su Jiaoyu's voice was crisp and sweet, but it fell in Su Chengyan's ears, but it was like a bolt from the blue. Little friend Suzan, I don't plan to keep you for dinner, you can go now. Suzan's face was flat and interrupted. Ah. Looking at Suzan and Su Jiaoyu again, Su Chengyan sighed. I think that when I succeeded as the head of the family, I vowed to revitalize the family. But today, a rare opportunity was cut off by his own hands. There is a crime of income today, sorry, goodbye. Su Chungyun gave his cupped hands a gift, and then turned away a little desperately. It is a pity that the marriage contract has dropped, but this is not all. Today, Su Chungyun brought so many people to Suzan's house to show off his power, it is difficult to guarantee that Suzan will not bear the hate. With Suzan's enchanting talent, I am afraid that it is inevitable to break through to the Ning Yuan realm, the main soldier realm, the Yuan Dan realm, and arrive at the legendary reborn fish and dragon realm in the future. I actually offend such a arrogant man. It's a bad brain. Thinking of these, Su Chungyun felt even more bitter. Those elders of the Su family in Tancheng were also lost one by one, following behind and leaving dingy. Until he walked out of the Su family, an elder of the Su family couldn't help but said, "Patriarch, today our Su family's face is lost." Suzan would be too ignorant to promote. I am afraid that today's matter will become a joke. Should we take action? Su, although Zan is strong, after all, it is simple and without scheming, we can find a professional organization of assassins. What do you want to do? Before that elder had finished speaking, Su Chungyun was already very angry and said, "Do you want to get rid of Suzan?" No problem, but before doing this, please leave our Su family. You are going to die, don't hurt our entire Su family. Wrong. Now that you have this idea, you can already get out of our Su family. Quote. Su Chungyun said in a harsh tone, "From today, you are no longer my Su family elder. When you return to the family, you will announce this and you can go." What? That elder was a little unbelievable. Just because you said a word, you want to get out of Sus house by yourself. Is this too exaggerated? Suzan is 16 years old, Qi Si realm in the middle stage, but he has a strength that exceeds the Ning Yuan realm late stage. Is it possible to say that there is no mysterious power behind him? You only see the appearance, but don't use your brain too much. Think about it, people like you will kill our entire family sooner or later. Su Chungyun's tone is beyond doubt, "Get out of here. Don't force me to do it." Sensing the true power of Su Chungyun's body, although the elder was full of dissatisfaction, he did not dare to stay for a while, leaving with a depressed look. Jiaoyu, unexpectedly, it was Grandpa Second who was confused today. Turning his head, Su Chungyun said apologetically to Su Jiaoyu, "Second grandfather, even though Suzan is a peerless arrogant talent, I may not be much worse than him. I don't have to be so lost." Su Jiaoyu smiled slightly. "One day, I will also become a strong one. Let us make the Su family in Tancheng strong, and let the second grandfather get what you want." Okay, good, that's good. Su Zontian's talent, my granddaughter is not bad. I am too persistent. Su Chungyun also smiled freely and walked towards the carriage. The Tancheng Sujia motorcade departs. Lin Sr., is Suzan really as scary as you said? In the car, Su Jiaoyu whispered suddenly. The bracelet gleamed, and a breath flew out, unexpectedly gathering in front of her into a figure of a woman. You know that I am proficient in the art of looking at the air. I chose you as the host because of your luck as the starry sky and the vastness of the sky. Then do you know what I saw in that Suzan's body? What? Su Jiaoyu was very curious. Nothingness. Nothingness, Lin Feiyu nodded. Or it can be said that detachment, his luck has already detached from this world, so in this world, I can't see the trace of his luck. Beyond the luck of a world. Su Jiaoyu looked dazed, a little unbelievable. But you don't have to be too discouraged. You have a special physique and you have this seat's guidance. You won't necessarily lose him in the future. Seeing Su Jiaoyu's loss of soul, Lin Feiyu smiled and said, "Don't think too much, when you get the strange fire in that ruin, your physique will have a qualitative change, and the cultivation speed will surely increase several times by then. At that time, compare with him again." A firm color appeared in Su Jiaoyu's beautiful eyes. "I, Su Jiaoyu, will definitely not lose anyone. Qingcheng Sus house. After leaving the meeting room, Suzan began to closed-door training cultivation. As for the pair of blood fangs, they have been handed over to the best refiner in Qingcheng for refining, and they will be fetched 3 days later. In the small courtyard, Suzan was sitting. Turn off all the other auras, leaving the cultivation aura, and he starts cultivation. Under the influence of the cultivation aura, spiritual qi from heaven and earth swarms. Because Suzan absorbed spiritual qi too fast, those spiritual chi even formed a spiritual chi whirlpool similar to a tornado. What is that? Spiritual chi whirlpool. Oh my god. Isn't that a vision that only the Tianjiao who possesses the Eucharist can trigger? Suzan young master, the talent of Tianzong, gather chi si in one day. It is the Eucharist, is there any surprise? One after another, the words of worship sounded everywhere in the Su family. 3 days later, the spiritual chi whirlpool dissipated. And Suzan's cultivation base has also reached the Chi Si realm late stage, and it is even close to the Ningyuan realm. Break the border in 3 days. If this cultivation speed hadn't been seen in person, I am afraid that the practitioners of the Su family would not believe it. It's time to go to that ruin. After all, the journey is far away, and it takes a lot of time on the road. Moreover, when the Chi Si realm middle stage, my strength is no longer inferior to the late stage of the Ningyuan realm. Now I have broken the realm again. Below the environment, it should be considered invincible, right? After whispering, Suzan shook his head. Every realm has strengths and weaknesses. I can cross the border to fight, and others may not. The people who went to the ruins this time are the geniuses of martial Dao from Liangzhou. They must have the cards given by the elders in their hands. Taking out the ban-breaking order and taking a look, Suzan went directly to Su Tianai's room and bid him farewell. Genre, you should pay more attention to it. By the way, your sword is ready and just ready to be sent to you. While talking, Su Tianai handed a sword to Suzan. The sword body is light red, the blade is sharp, and contains a trace of violent aura. When the true essence is injected into it, using this sword to use the sword technique will increase its power. Spirit weapon level. He drew his sword and swung it at random. Suzan was very satisfied. After confessing a few words to Su Tianai, he left Su's house with a light red long sword. 2 days later, on a clearing outside the ruins, Suzan looked at the light curtain thousands of meters ahead, thinking about the information about the ruins he had searched for in the past few days. A clear and sweet voice suddenly sounded behind him. Suzan. Looking back, it was Su Jiaoyu. It's really you. Su Jiaoyu showed a slight smile. Sure enough, Tianjiao is extraordinary, even his back is so special. Suzan smiled slightly, but did not answer. At this moment, the formation light curtain in front suddenly dimmed. Hurry up. The formation has reached its weakest time. I don't know who shouted, and suddenly, a long-awaited cultivator rushed to the ruins. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe. Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. I have a trillion protagonist halo. Chapter 11. The first to arrive at the ruins was a rough man. His face was full of excitement, and his true essence was injected to break the ban, forming a defensive mask to protect him, and slammed into the light wall of formation. Boom. His body was still 10 meters away from the light wall of formation, and a blast of wind blew out from the light wall, and his body was directly cut into several sections. Terrible. How is this going? He obviously broke the ban. How could he still be like this? Could it be that the ban we bought is fake? In this scene, the hot-headed cultivators instantly calmed down, stopped one after another, and exchanged with some horror. Ha! A group of ignorant people. The formation here has not yet reached the debilitating period for people to enter. Forcibly entering, it is not looking for death. At this moment, a voice rang from the sky. A huge copper car fell slowly from the sky. The sound was made in the copper car. Flying profound tool. This is the imperial copper cart of the Tiankazong. Tiank sect. Is that the Tiank sect of Liangzhou's number 1 sect? As the copper cart fell, everyone's eyes converged on the past. A young man who seemed to be about 20 years old came out of the copper car first, and then 5 or 6 young people of his age came out. Finally, an old man came out, faced the copper car a little, and put it in the storage ring. What to look at? After putting away the copper car, sensing those gazes, the old man said very displeased ly. A powerful force erupted from his body, and immediately, those people withdrew their gazes in a little horror, not daring to offend the slightest. The strongest soldier. Cultivation 1 way. Open pulse. Qi Si, Ning Yuan, Bingzu, Yuan Dan. In the main state of soldiers, own natal weapons have been cultivated, and the strength is definitely at the peak level in the entire Liangzhou. It turns out to be a strong person in the main state of the soldier. There shouldn't be too many such strong people in the Heavenly K sect, right? Su Zan was a little surprised. Su Jiaoyu said, although the host of soldiers is very noble and will not leave sect easily, you still have to see who is escorting. If I am not mistaken, the young man who took the lead out of the copper cart should be Liangzhou. It's only Yang Tiangui on the first day. It's normal to escort this kind of genius and send a strong master of the soldier realm. The first genius, how strong is he? Strong strength, 22 years old this year, has reached the middle stage of Ningyuan realm. After just finished speaking, Su Jiaoyu glanced at Su Zan, and said in her heart, of course it is not comparable to your enchanting genius. Only on the first day did you actually condense the middle stage of the elementary realm. Su Zan was stunned for a moment, feeling that he seemed to think too much of Liangzhou's genius. Then many people arrived. Half an hour later, the light wall of that layer of formation turned into translucent, and a cultivator walked directly in with the ban in hand. When he passed through the light wall of formation without incident, the people behind suddenly boiled and rushed away one by one. A bunch of trash, what's the use of going in so early? Yang Tiangui glanced at those people disdainfully, and snorted coldly, opportunity, the treasures belong to my son. I want to compete with my son based on these wastes. There are Qi Si realms. His eyes fell on Su Zan and Su Jiaoyu with a little surprise. Due to the limitation of the formation ruins, the people who enter the ruins are basically in the Ningyuan realm, and most of them are strong in the Ningyuan realm. There are also many cultivators at the peak of the Ningyuan realm. Qi Si realm enters to face the Ningyuan realm. Those of the cultivation will die. Therefore, every 3 years when the relics are opened, almost no cultivators below the Ningyuan realm participated in it. Now seeing Su Zan Su Jiaoyu, Yang Tiangui was naturally a little surprised. It's really not greedy enough to swallow an elephant. Qi Si realm dare to come to the ruins. I really laughed at my son, haha. Yang Tiangui retracted his gaze, did not pay attention to Su Zan, and laughed, go, let these wastes understand who is the real master of Liangzhou. With a wave of his big sleeve, he led the young men into the formation light curtain. This person has intellectual problems, right? Su Zan frowned and said, obviously he is only in the middle stage of the elementary realm, so why don't you put other people to put in Onia Euro's eyes? This is normal, although he is in the middle stage of the Ningyuan realm, but with the support of powerful martial arts, cultivation technique, and spirit tools, his strength is estimated to be no less than the general Ningyuan realm peak. Su Jiaoyu shook her head and said. Su Zan said, that's not too strong. Su Jiaoyu stared at Su Zan, thinking of the scene where the opponent defeated the Ningyuan realm late-stage bloodtooth beast with Qi Si realm middle stage, and she couldn't refute it for a while. Okay, let's go in too. The formation of the ruins is very unstable. When we enter, we will be affected by the spatial pattern in it, and will be randomly teleported to somewhere in the ruins, but not too far from where we entered. We hold hands, will not be separated by the force of formation. Good. Su Zan held Su Jiaoyu's hand. Ding. Complete the achievement task, holding a girl's hand for the first time, to unlock the new aura Protagonist Heart Aura. So, can this special also unlock a new halo? Su Zan was stunned for a moment, and checked the introduction of Xinxing Aura. Protagonist Heart Aura, defend heart's demon without being charmed. Even if a large group of young women are stripped and naked in front of them, as the protagonists, they will not, cough. The effect of the heart aura is unstable, please use it with caution. This halo is very useful. The further the cultivation base is, the more chi deviation is likely to occur in cultivation, and it also has a good effect on some charms and illusions, but the effect is not stable. Su Zan looked at Su Jiaoyu. The facial features are exquisite and small, the complexion is fair, and the green silk is hanging down. The introduction of the Xinxing aura is really correct, even if the Xinxing aura is turned on. If Su Jiaoyu is now stripped off and rushed towards him, whether he can be stable is really two things to say. Su Zan, what's the matter with you? Su Jiaoyu was a little uncomfortable being seen by Su Zan, and asked. It's okay, let's go. Su Zan shook his head and walked into the ruins with Su Jiaoyu. The surrounding scenery changes. They appeared by a stream. Come with me, Su Jiaoyu said to Su Zan and walked along the stream. You don't need to look at the map. Don't worry, since I dare to invite you into the ruins, there is naturally a way to find the treasures. Moreover, After so many years of searching for the ruins, the treasures on the bright side have almost been searched. What I am going to find is not the vulgar ones. Okay then. Suzanne nodded and didn't say more. When he came, he had already checked a lot of information about the ruins. Su Jiaoyu was right. If it were €T for the hiding place information of a certain treasure or the secret technique of special treasure hunting, it would be difficult to find the treasures randomly in the ruins. The two walked along the stream, and half an hour later, they came to a dark forest. Be careful, someone is ambushing us. Su Jiaoyu stopped and looked forward guardedly. Suzanne had already sensed the Ruo Wu aura in front of him, but he didn't take it too seriously. Although my hiding is not clever, I can't even deceive the trash of 2 Qi realms. A big man with a height of nearly 2 meters, with a big knife in his hand, walked out from behind a giant tree, and glanced at Suzanne and Su Jiaoyu with some surprise. Forget it, now that it has been discovered, then daddy will force it. Dayan Junyuan injected a long sword, staring at Su Jiaoyu, and said with a smile, men must die, and women are willing to take care of daddy, maybe when daddy is happy, let you go. Preferring women to men, can this be tolerated? Suzanne's face became cold, and he rushed out. Su Jiaoyu was startled, and quickly said, be careful, this person is a Euro. Call out. The sound of the long sword breaking through the air sounded. A blood stain appeared on the big man's neck, and then the blood sprayed, melting the frost on his neck. The tall body crashed to the ground. To death, his face was full of horror. It seemed that he had never expected that he would be killed instantly by a Qi realm practitioner who spanned a distance of more than 10 meters. Who is he? Suzanne turned around and asked Su Jiaoyu after slaying the big man with a sword. Hey, a Euro. Su Jiaoyu was a little confused and didn't know how to organize her own language for a while. After a while, she came back to her senses and smiled bitterly. He is a famous murderer in Liangzhou, an evil practitioner. The number of practitioners who died in his hands is not 10,000 or 8,000. There are even Ningyuan realm practitioners. 10. According to rumors, his strength is very strong and he has reached the pinnacle of the Ningyuan realm. Quote, the peak of the Ningyuan realm, the rumors are not credible. Suzanne looked at the corpse of the big man, a little speechless. At the peak of the Ningyuan realm, is it so weak? At least it takes several swords to kill, right? Taking off the storage ring from the big man's finger, Suzanne looked curiously. The lowest level storage treasure was also a spirit weapon level, and he hadn't had such a thing before. It was the first time I got it at this time, so I couldn't help but be a little curious. True Qi was injected into the storage ring. Suzanne felt that the space above the ring seemed to have changed. With a move in his heart, he leaned the long sword in his hand towards the ring. Sure enough, the sword body of the long sword directly sank into the space inside the ring. As he let go, put it directly into it. Put the big man's big sword into the storage ring, and checked the contents of the storage ring again. Suzanne took out the long sword, and continued on with Su Jiaoyu. A day later, the two came to the entrance of a valley. This is Extreme Sun Valley, and it's also my target location. Su Jiaoyu looked at Taniguchi, feeling a little excited. In the Extreme Sun Valley, there are some special hydrangea growing, which are the elixir to increase the cultivation base. Let's go in and pick it. Just some spiritual herbs that can enhance the cultivation base. Suzanne frowned slightly, feeling that the gain from this trip was too small. Just when the two were about to enter the Extreme Sun Valley, another one came. Are you two rubbish? Standing on the other side of the valley mouth, Yang Tiangui was a little surprised. Qi realm can survive in the ruins for more than a day. It seems that your luck is really good. You haven't even encountered a demonic beasts or other cultivators. Didn't this bump into you? Suzanne glanced at Yang Tiangui and said lightly. Ha. So, your luck is starting to get bad. Yang Tiangui's true power pressure suddenly erupted, and he sneered. The waste of the two Qi realms also want to seize the hydrangea in the Sun Valley. Even if I don't take it, those demonic beasts waiting for the hydrangea to mature can eat both of you. Waste. Meeting me, at least it can make you die less painful. Quote. As soon as the voice fell, Yang Tiangui had already stepped out. Exerting a movement technique, dragging a long afterimage, attacking Suzanne. Movement technique of the mysterious rank. Suzan's eyes condensed slightly. Without dodge or dodge, he also walked towards Yang Tiangui. His speed is no more slower than Yang Tiangui. After all, Yang Tiangui's movement technique of the mysterious stage was just to cultivate to the beginning, but his rapid wind step was to cultivate to the peak. Even cultivated a footwork artistic conception and walked against the wind. Of course, the artistic conception of the wind step is not as prominent as the sword intent, and it is difficult for ordinary people to see it. Interesting. Seeing that Suzan's speed was not losing himself, Yang Tiangui's mouth curled slightly. It seems that it is someone who has special treasures or has had some great opportunities. If it's a general Ning Yuan realm, I'm afraid that this person will really be defeated by this person, but it is a pity that I met Yang Tiangui. Your chances, treasures, all belong to me today. Yang Tiangui sneered in his heart, and the long knife around his waist suddenly came out of its sheath. Draw a knife. A martial arts saber technique of the lower grade of Xuanji. He had cultivated it to Shaocheng, cut it out with a single knife, and a translucent ripple appeared in the space in front of him. That was caused by the extremely domineering spirit of drawing the sword and cutting the sword. Suzan also displayed the Tianan sword technique. At the same time, Vajra, the culmination of martial arts training, was running, and a layer of golden light appeared on the body's surface. Under the golden light, there is a layer of white light that is as gentle as jade. It is the Zochan level Han Yugong urging to the extreme performance. Sword intent. How is this possible? Yang Tiangui's eyes widened and his heart was shocked. Although the Ning Yuan realm has reached the most basic condition for comprehending the sword intent, it is one thing to meet the conditions, and it is another thing to be able to comprehend it. Yang Tiangui, as the first genius in Liangzhou, only touched the threshold of the sword intent and has not really grasped it. But now, a Qi realm cultivator actually understands the sword intent, which makes him really unacceptable. What about sword intent? The difference in strength lies there. Die for me. Swords collided. Suddenly, sensing the terrifying power contained in Su Zhanjian, Yang Tiangui's expression changed drastically. The next moment, his body flew out backwards, until tens of meters away. He stood still, his clothes were cut into a long opening, revealing the silver-white inner armor, his face turned pale, and his hands were pressed. The position of the chest seemed to suppress the qi and blood surging in the body. This is the first genius in Liangzhou, how could he be so weak? Suzan was a little surprised. I thought that a fierce battle should be needed, but I didn't expect that Yang Tiangui would be cut into the air with a single sword. Yang Tiangui's heart was furious, and the blood in his body was surging, he almost suppressed the vomiting of blood. You wanna die? Yang Tiangui roared. A black magic talisman appeared in his hand, and he squeezed his hand slightly. Boom! Fu Li burst into pieces, turning into a large black light bursting out. Those black lights condensed into a huge ghost 10 meters high with black fangs, terrifying. The huge ghost gave out a black light from both eyes, covering Suzan and Su Jiaoyu. The next moment, the sky darkened, terrifying ghosts appeared around, screaming and rushing over. Ha ha, under Theoghost King's Soul Shake Talisman, I see how you can resist. Yang Tiangui grinned, but his smile disappeared after only a short moment. Seeing Suzan walking out of the black light at random, Yang Tiangui was dumbfounded and stuttered. How did you get out of the environment of the Ghost King? With your Qi realm's cultivation base, mental energy can't resist this kind of erosion attack. Ghost King Soul Shaking Talisman. It sounds amazing, but the effect seems to be rubbish. Under the influence of the Xinxing aura, although watching those ghosts flaring their teeth and dancing claws, Suzan's heart couldn't make any waves, let alone breed fear and be trapped by illusion. Seeing Yang Tiangui with an unbelievable look on his face, Suzan was a little surprised and said, "Are you a fool? You wriggle around with some ugly monsters and want to trap me? I'm not scared." A euro. Yang Tiangui held his chest, his blood qi surged, his head was hot. The spiritual attack talisman specially given by sect leader during the departure is said to be able to deter any cultivation below the main stage of the soldier. Even if it is the peak of the condensed element stage and is enveloped by the magic talisman, it will take at least 3 seconds to wake up from the illusion. It is his strongest hole card in this trip. In Suzan's mouth, it turned out to be something ugly and writhing. This FCK, is sect leader bragging or Suzan too bragging? Yang Tiangui was completely confused at this time. The strongest hole card was ignored by Su Zan. He felt that the whole world was not real anymore, and he was a little skeptical of life. It's actually a mental attack magical talisman. This kind of magical talisman is extremely rare. Fortunately, Lin Sr. will help, otherwise. Su Zan actually got out of the illusion before me. At this moment, Su Jiaoyu also walked out of the black light. Her face was a little pale and whispered to herself. She was shocked when she saw Su Zan as if she was okay. I can leave quickly because of Lin Sr.'s secret help. Could it be that Su Zan also has the remnant soul of a peerless strong man in his body? Su Jiaoyu had doubts in her heart, but this was not the time to ask these questions. She looked alert, holding a fiery red long sword in her hand, looking at Yang Tiangui. Boom! As both of them walked out of the black light, the huge ghost king transformed by the magic talisman shattered and dissipated. Yang Tiangui looked at Su Zan and then at Su Jiaoyu, feeling a little collapsed in his heart. It is also said that the peak of the Ning Yuan realm can be trapped for at least 3 seconds, but right now, the Qixi realm early stage and Su Jiaoyu area is only trapped for 3 seconds. As for Su Zan, it's even more outrageous. I just ignored. What kind of trash charm did sect leader give me? This is the strongest hole card in Liangzhou's first day. Su Zan glanced at Su Jiaoyu, who had fully recovered, and said, "You might as well make a grimace. With your dignity, maybe I will really be shocked." Yang Tiangui's Chi Chao produces smoke. Holding the long knife tightly, I can't wait to cut Su with 1,000 swords. Taking a deep breath, a blood-red medicine pill appeared in his hand, and he took it in one gulp. Suddenly, the momentum that was originally weakened by the injury rebounded. Su Zan, Yang Tiangui, as the most favored disciple of the Tiang sect, must have other means, be careful. Seeing this scene, Su Jiaoyu looked serious and clenched the long kendo. Knowledge. Su Zan's eyes narrowed. I have never eaten pork and have seen pigs run. Generally speaking, I take drugs when fighting. This is desperate. Su Zan, Yang Tiangui, will never die with you. I am waiting for you outside the ruins. Yang Tiangui roared, blood-red mist filled his body, and he fled very quickly. Is this gone? Su Zan was stunned for a moment, and immediately chased after him with a gust of wind. But under the action of that medicine pill, his speed was still a little slower, and in the end he had to explode to narrow the distance and cut out with one sword. Tianan's sword intent enveloped Yang Tiangui's body slightly, and at the same time a frost sword chi cut down. Sensing the movement behind, Yang Tiangui didn't turn his head back, feeling slightly to the side of his body. That frost blade air fell, cutting off his left arm. The revenge of the broken arm will be repaid 100 times. Yang Tiangui's face turned pale. He controlled the true essence to block the flow of blood, leaving a word of infinite resentment, and fled forward without any slowdown. Can't catch up. Seeing Yang Tiangui rushing into the forest, his figure gradually blurred. Su Zan frowned slightly, returning somewhat helplessly. He is taking drugs. Why is he running? Back at Taniguchi, Su Zan asked Su Jiaoyu somewhat puzzledly. Su Jiaoyu looked at Su Zan. Perhaps he doesn't want to die yet. Su Zan. Afterwards, the two walked into the extreme Sun Valley. 10 minutes later, under Su Jiaoyu's leadership, Su Zan finally saw hydrangea. Hydrangea is more like a kind of purple grass, with 4 leaves and 3 plants in total, growing by a pool in the valley. The extreme Sun Valley is very big. There are dozens of hydrangea in the entire extreme Sun Valley, enough for us to cultivate to the Ning Yuan realm. Su Jiaoyu said. She stretched out her hand to go picking. Boom! Suddenly, a loud noise came from behind. Demonic beasts, a huge wolf with a height of 5 or 6 meters, rushed over. There is a strange single eye on his forehead, which looks a little weird. This is a one-eyed wolf beast, probably with its late-stage strength. Demonic beasts are most afraid of the smell-a-cape lantern fruit, which is a kind of poisonous to them. I have prepared it before coming this time, enough drive away a euro. Boom! Before Su Jiaoyu had finished speaking, a frost sword chi descended, cutting down the head of the one-eyed wolf beast. The wolf beast's huge body crashed to the ground. Why bother? Su Zan smiled. Su Jiaoyu opened her mouth, watching this scene, and finally nodded depressed. Fortunately, I have prepared so many methods, but since entering the ruins with Suzanne, it seems that none of them have been used. This guy. How could he be so perverted? Su Jiaoyu sighed. It seemed that he could only wait until he absorbed the abnormal fire in the extreme Sun Valley before chasing Suzanne. Now, the gap is too big. Afterwards, the two began to search for hydrangea in Jiang Valley. It took half a day to pick all the hydrangea that can be found in Jiang Valley. A total of 31 plants. Suzanne, this time I came to extreme Sun Valley, thanks to you, so if you take 21 hydrangea, I will take 10. While talking, Su Jiaoyu stretched out her hand to wave the hydrangea on the ground between the two of them. No, I will take 16 plants, and you will take 15 plants. Suzanne shook his head and directly took away the 16 hydrangea from the ground. If it weren't for Su Jiaoyu, he wouldn't be able to find this place, besides, he wouldn't take advantage of girls. Then I will accept it. Now I really need Ascension cultivation base as soon as possible. I will definitely return it if I have a chance in the future. Su Jiaoyu did not twitch, and accepted it generously. After hesitating for a while, Su Jiaoyu said, in fact, hydrangea is not my ultimate goal. There are treasures in the extreme Sun Valley that have not appeared in the world, so I will stay here for a while. That treasure is very special and only I can collect it. Suzanne, if you want to search for other treasures, you can go one step further. There are treasures. Suzanne pondered for a while, and shook his head, I'll be waiting here. It just happens to refine hydrangea. Well, until tomorrow noon, I can make the treasure appear. If you can collect it, even if it is taken away, the possibility is very slim. What kind of treasure is it? Secret, you will know tomorrow. Su Jiaoyu showed a trace of naughty like a girl next door, and smiled. After that, the two of them began to refine hydrangea on the open space in the center of the extreme Yang Valley, separated by 5 meters. Hydrangea has a great effect on the cultivation of the Ningyuan realm, but it is also more difficult to refine. There is one day before tomorrow morning. If I don't rest at night, I should be able to refine a hydrangea leaf. Suzanne, you are more talented than mine. Okay, get permission to try 2 pieces. When Su Jiaoyu's words were general, she saw Suzanne swallowing a complete hydrangea flower in one mouthful, and her voice stopped abruptly. Well, one day of your abnormality should be enough to refine a whole hydrangea. Su Jiaoyu glanced at Suzanne a little bitterly, swallowed a hydrangea leaf into her abdomen, and began to refine it. Ding! Complete the achievement task. Obtain and refine the elixir for the first time, to unlock the new halo, Protagonist Refinement Halo. Protagonist Refining Halo, greatly reduce refining time and greatly increase refining effect. Ascension Can Refining Elixir, Medicine Pill and other categories. If even the elixir in hand cannot be refined, it can still is it the protagonist. Suzanne's mouth twitched, who had just begun to refine the hydrangea. Unexpectedly, it was just refining a panacea. He actually unlocked a new halo again. However, this halo was unlocked at just the right time, and it just so happened that he had to refine hydrangea. Click on the halo panel and turn off all other halos, leaving only the refining halo, and Suzanne continued to refine the hydrangea. Suddenly, the hydrangea in the abdomen quickly decomposed into pure medicinal power, merged into the meridians, transformed into true qi, ascension cultivation base, and some penetrated into the limbs, the ascension body. In less than an hour, a hydrangea was refined. And Suzanne Euro's cultivation base has also come to the pinnacle of Qi Si realm. It only takes half a step to enter Ningyuan. The refining halo is really amazing. Having personally experienced the power of the refining halo, Suzanne was delighted. Although the cultivation aura also had the effect of enhancing his refining elixir, it was only incidental to the cultivation talent and ascension. Like the towering lotus, it has already gone through the previous, Suzanne, day and night refining, and it has already been transformed into pure spiritual qi, but the previous, Suzanne, talent is too bad, and it can't be absorbed at all. With the slightest fusion, those medicinal powers can only accumulate in his body, until Suzanne crosses over and activates the cultivation aura, then absorbs it and completely refines it into his body. After refining a hydrangea, Suzanne glanced at Su Jiaoyu. The girl was still refining the hydrangea leaf. It has been silent for 3 years, and once awakened. I always feel that I am not an ordinary person. Thinking of this somewhat familiar plot, Suzanne murmured, smiled, and continued to refine the hydrangea. After the second hydrangea was refined, the true chi in his body was compressed and condensed towards the center of Dantian. In the end, the gaseous true chi turns into the liquid true essence. Ning Yuan Realm. Upon reaching the Ning Yuan Realm, Suzanne felt his own strength and ascension several times. If you encounter Yang Tiangui again at this moment, I am afraid that with a single sword, he will be able to split his man with inner armor in half. Next, Suzanne continued to refine hydrangea. Time passed a little bit. The second day was approaching noon. Su Jiaoyu suddenly opened her eyes. Her expression was rather tired, but her eyes were filled with joy. Finally, the refining is over, and my true chi is approaching the Chi Si realm middle stage. She wiped the sweat on her face with her sleeves. Her eyes fell on Suzanne, who had just opened her eyes, and she smiled triumphantly. Suzanne, this time I finally walked in front of you. I forgot about your refinement. It's a whole hydrangea. Thinking that she was only refining a hydrangea leaf, Su Jiaoyu smiled awkwardly. A whole plant. Suzanne smiled slightly without explaining, and walked directly to the corpse of the one-eyed giant wolf nearby. It's not yet noon, so I can just have something to eat first. While talking, he drew out the long sword and stroked it on the cyclopean wolf. The true essence is infused with the long sword, and the hard fur of the cyclopean wolf is like tofu, and even the bones it encounters are easily cut off. All 16 hydrangea plants were refined, and Suzanne Euro's cultivation-based directly ascension reached the middle stage of Ningyuan realm. The strength is nearly 10 times stronger than that of Chi Si realm. Before long, he cut off the meat, lighted a fire on the spot, and started roasting meat. Sitting on the opposite side, Su Jiaoyu's gaze fell on Suzanne, and she asked curiously, Suzanne, how much did you refine the hydrangea, how much ascension? Is it about to break through to the Ningyuan realm? I have made a breakthrough, and now I probably just entered the middle stage of the Ningyuan realm. Suzanne replied, staring at the barbecue. What? Su Jiaoyu's eyes widened at once. The effect of a hydrangea is so exaggerated. It can actually make you reach the middle stage of the Ningyuan realm after you break through the Ningyuan realm. Who said that what I refined was a hydrangea? Then how much did you refine? I'm all refined. Are you all refined? Su Jiaoyu opened her mouth slightly. Suzanne looked at her in surprise. It's useless for me to keep it without refining. Su Jiaoyu, what you said is so reasonable, I can't refute it. The barbecue is cooked, you can cut it and eat it yourself. Suzanne Dao, who had been paying close attention to the situation of the barbecue, cut off a piece with a long sword and ate it. Although the cultivator in the Ningyuan realm can keep full of energy even if he doesn't eat for 3 or 5 days, he still feels hungry. I'm not hungry, Su Jiaoyu said quietly. The thought of Suzanne refining all the hydrangea flowers overnight, she felt aggrieved. If you say that your talent is abnormal, then you refine 1 or 2, I can understand. But what the hell did you refine 16 plants at once? This is too ridiculous, right? I thought I had the inheritance of Lin Sr. to activate the different fire physique, which was special enough, but today I discovered that some people have been so abnormal that they can hardly be described by the 2 words, human. Su Jiaoyu sighed in her heart and looked up at the sun in the sky. It's noon. As long as I merge that different fire, I still have hope to surpass Suzanne. Su Jiaoyu was fighting spirit in her heart. Half an hour later, she came to the open space in the center of Extreme Sun Valley and started to operate cultivation technique. A peculiar white flame surfaced on her body, making her look quite holy and radiant. Su Jiaoyu's hands were sealed, and she pointed out in the air in front of her. Flames flew from her fingers and turned into mysterious runes. As she kept moving, those runes gradually increased, and finally, a circular rune formation was formed. Open. She gave a soft drink, and the rune formation crashed into the ground. The next moment, the entire Jiang Valley began to tremble. The earth cracked, and dazzling light shot from those cracks. Even the temperature is suddenly ascension. What kind of treasure is it? Suzanne looked forward curiously, the golden light slowly emerging from the ground. After watching for several seconds, he could see clearly that in the golden light was a small golden flower the size of a finger. This is the treasure you are talking about. Right. Su Jiaoyu's eyes were burning. This is the sun god flower. 30,000 years ago, a senior planted the seeds here, absorbing the power of the heavenly sun for 30,000 years, and it is now present. What I want to take is a kind of abnormal fire contained in the sun god flower, sun essence fire. Different fire. Suzan was taken aback. Su Jiaoyu paused, and did not intend to hide it, and said directly, different fire refers to a special flame, usually with a variety of peculiar and powerful abilities, and ordinary people cannot approach it, but my physique is special and can hold the world. The cultivation technique of different fires and cultivation also need to be enhanced by these different fires. This is also the reason why I said that the treasures in the extreme Sun Valley are only available to me. It has been silent for 3 years, and once awakened. The physique is special, it can absorb the world's different fires. Cultivation technique can also rely on the different fires' ascension. This plot is too familiar, right? What did you say? Su Jiaoyu didn't hear Suzan's self-talk clearly, and asked suspiciously. Nothing, I just want to ask you a question. Suzan looked weird and continued. Did you know someone named Xiao Yan? Don't know. Is there anything special about this person? Su Jiaoyu was a little inexplicable. It's okay, just ask. Suzan smiled. Unexpectedly, the standard configuration of the protagonist of the retired stream has gone to Su Jiaoyu. I wonder if there is a mysterious strong living in her body. Does it also pill refining? Wouldn't it be possible to ask her to help pill refining for my cultivation in the future? Just as Suzan was thinking about these things, Su Jiaoyu had already started extracting the strange fire. Those white flames converged towards her forehead, and finally formed a mysterious rune. The rune's light was bright, and the sun god flower seemed to echo it, and the golden light flashed suddenly. The next moment, a ray of golden flame flew out from the sun god flower and merged into the rune between her brows. With the continuous integration of golden flames, Su Jiaoyu's cultivation base is extremely fast ascension. But at the same time, his face was ugly, his brows furrowed, and he seemed to be suffering tremendously. An hour has passed. She just opened her eyes, and after fusing the sun's essence, her cultivation base crossed 2 borders and reached the Qi realm late stage. I got the sun spirit. The voice of joy that could not be suppressed sounded. Su Jiaoyu opened her palm, and a group of golden flames hovered in her palm, containing extremely terrifying power. With the sun essence fire, my physique of the different fire has increased by several times, my cultivation speed has been increased by several times, and my strength has also been greatly enhanced. Now I, not to mention that I surpass Suzan, should barely be able to be at the same level as him, right? Su Jiaoyu thought secretly in her heart. At this moment, Suzan spoke. Do you want this sun god flower? Su Jiaoyu was a little speechless. The sun god flower is not something that ordinary people can refine, let alone us. It is impossible for the powerhouses of the main state of the soldier, the elementary pill state, and even the fish dragon realm to refine it. After 30,000 years of growth, the sun god flower has long been psychic. Unless it encounters a very strong person, or someone who happens to have a special physique and echoes it, it is absolutely impossible to be refined by others. Don't worry, after a while, the sun god flower will collapse and spirit power will return to the world. Quote. So it's like this. Suzan looked at the sun god flower, feeling a little unwilling. Su Jiaoyu only collected a wisp of strange fire from the sun god flower, which caused such a big change in his body. If the entire sun god flower was refined, how much benefit would he get? Difficulties in refining. Should it be just for others, right? Having a refining aura by yourself is not a good idea. Besides, Su Jiaoyu has already collected the abnormal fire that the refining aura can't work, and the degree of danger has been greatly reduced. If you give up now, I am afraid that I will regret it and I will not sleep at night after returning. After thinking for a moment, Suzan gritted his teeth and grabbed it towards the sun god flower. Suzan, you. Su Jiaoyu was shocked, just about to stop. She saw that Suzan had already squeezed the suspended sun god flower into his entrance. What are you doing? Su Jiaoyu was dumbfounded, then a little lost and sad. The proud son of Suzantian was also the target she was chasing after, but today, when she had just received a strange fire, and seeing the hope of chasing after, Suzan unexpectedly swallowed the sun god flower on impulse. Isn't this looking for death? He is dead and his own goal is gone. Too lonely. Suzan also regretted this time. The sun god flower swallowed in his abdomen, he only felt that he had eaten an atomic bomb. The terrifying power contained in this atomic bomb is being released little by little, and it is estimated that less than 1% has been released. It has already made him feel that all his internal organs are burned by the flame, and he is in pain. Even urging the true essence to refine the sun god flower can't be done. No, if this continues, my body will collapse. Suzan frowned, suddenly thought of a way, quickly opened the halo panel, and opened the hard nature halo. Suddenly, his heart began to calm down. Although he was still very unbearable in the perverted pain, he could at least begin to refine the sun god flower. The refining halo worked, and the sun god flower that contained extremely terrifying power like an atomic bomb began to be refined by him. Golden light flowed from Dantian's abdomen, toward every bone, organ, flesh and blood, and even cells in his body. Under the mighty power of the sun god flower, Suzan's body is undergoing earth-shaking changes. How is this possible? Su Jiaoyu looked at Suzan, who was sitting cross-legged with golden light flowing in her body, shocked in her heart. It seems that Suzan is really refining the sun god flower. No, it's not right. How can the sun god flower be so easy to refine? He should have temporarily suppressed the destruction of the sun god flower to his body. Su Jiaoyu thought about this in her heart, and stared at Suzan closely. Half a day has passed. The Tiantian sun has fallen to the horizon. Dusk has arrived. At this moment, endless golden light erupted from Suzan. Those golden lights soared into the sky, turned out to be a round of golden sun, hanging high in the sky. The second sun. Su Jiaoyu watched this scene, completely dazed. Not only her, but the entire ruins, and even the thousands of miles around the ruins, have seen the existence of this round of great sun. What is that? My God, is Daddy dazzled? I actually saw two suns appear together. The strange treasure, there must be a strange treasure born, it will arouse this world's vision. I don't know how far this world vision covers. If the area is small, it means that we are very close to the strange treasure. Maybe we can fight for it. Voices of excitement, surprise, and doubt sounded in the Qinli region centered on the ruins. Tiankazong. Sect leader Mo Kanglin looked excited, watching the big day in the distance. Divine body. This is the vision of the divine body. That direction is where the ruins are located. Could it be that Tiangui obtained the great opportunity in the ruins and achieved the great sun divine body? That's right. He is the first genius in Liangzhou. If anyone can get such a great opportunity in the ruins, who else is there besides him? No, I can't wait, I want to see it myself. Mo Kanglin laughed loudly, took out a flying mysterious weapon, and left in the air. In this situation, all major sects within 1,000 miles have appeared. Even the number one sect of the Xia Kingdom, Yuntian Zhanzong, who was thousands of miles away, noticed an abnormality in a mysterious tool that could sense the violent turbulence of the entire spiritual qi of the Xia Kingdom, and sent a strong person to check it out. A strong man rushed to the ruins from all directions. At this time, inside the ruins, Suzan opened his eyes. Before he had time to investigate the changes in his body carefully, he heard a young girl's voice that contained various complex emotions such as doubt, shock, horror, complete incomprehension, and so on. How do you feel? How do you feel a euro? Suzan glanced at Su Jiaoyu, whose expression was a little dull, then he pondered for a while and said. Apollo, the taste is okay. Even the sun god flower, which the peerless strongman of the Yulong realm would not dare to swallow, turned into, the taste is okay, in Suzan's mouth. Is this something that people can say? Su Jiaoyu felt a little lost in her life and lost her direction. The fighting spirit to chase Suzan, which had risen from the collection of the sun's spirit, suddenly extinguished. Catch up, I just collected a strange fire in the sun god flower, and Suzan directly refined the entire sun god flower. How does this pervert catch up? Seeing Su Jiaoyu's stunned expression, Suzan was a little surprised. What's wrong with you? A euro. Su Jiaoyu turned around. I want to be quiet. Want to be quiet. Suzan felt that Su Jiaoyu was a little bit inexplicable, but did not continue to ask. Instead, she couldn't wait to check her own changes. My physical body has completely changed. Cultivation base realm has not risen, but the power of the true energy has increased by 30%. Moreover, my own martial Dao talent seems to have reached a very terrifying point. The god body, it should be a god body. I can't think of a sun god flower that makes me become a god body. After carefully investigating the changes in Own, Suzan was already somewhat overwhelmed with ecstasy. With the great sun god body, he can attract the power of the great sun in the sky to cultivate the great speed of ascension. Moreover, the true essence of cultivation is more pure and powerful than ordinary people. And during the battle, you can also actively stimulate the state of the divine body, so that your own speed, strength, reaction, and other comprehensive attributes can be increased. Of course, stimulating the state of the divine body consumes one's own stamina. True essence, mental energy, and Suzan's current cultivation base cannot last for too long. The Great Sun Divine Body. With my cultivation base ascension, the power of the divine body will be discovered little by little, and later, I can even mobilize the divine power of the Great Sun in the sky for my use. Various legends and information about the divine body appeared in his mind, and Suzan smiled. Although the cultivation base is not ascension, it can achieve the great sun god body, even more joyful than break through a big realm. Subsequently, in the extreme Sun Valley, Suzan began to test the power of the divine body. Tianan sword technique, broken jade finger, rushing step, and so on, the power of martial arts has increased by 30%. If the divine body is not activated, there is already such a large increase. If the divine body is activated, what will happen? With a movement in Suzan's heart, the true essence revolves, directly inspiring the state of the divine body. Suddenly, a little golden light emerged from him, and a sword chi of heavenly cold was cut out casually. Boom! Hundreds of meters away, sword chi sank into that 100-meter high mountain peak. The next moment, that mountain trembled violently and collapsed. Not far away, Su Jiaoyu, who saw this scene, twitched her mouth, revealing a wry smile. Lin Sr., do you think I can really surpass Suzan? Naturally, it's not right now. He has achieved the Great Sun Divine Body, and his talent has undergone a qualitative change. You still need to collect more alien fires to surpass him. Collect more alien fires to surpass Suzan. Su Jiaoyu looked low and murmured, if I had never walked with him all the way, I would definitely believe in Lin Sr.'s words, but when you walk this way, Lin Sr., didn't you realize that this Suzan is not Aoman at all? Can the two words describe the category? This kind of perversion. Maybe when I collect the next strange fire, he will already have a huge ascension, right? Quote. Try your best. Lin Feiyu's helpless voice sounded, and then the light of the storage bracelet went out and fell into silence. Do your best. It can only be so. Su Jiaoyu took a deep breath and calmed down a bit. Although he is still a lot worse than Suzan, compared to the waste Su Jiaoyu 6 months ago, isn't it already a lot of ascension? That being the case, why be so lost? Moreover, why should I compare with Suzan's perversion? It's boring to ask for it. Thinking about it this way, Su Jiaoyu felt a lot more relaxed, took out the ban, and said to Suzan, Suzan, the ruins here have been weakened for less than 2 days. We need to return, otherwise we will be trapped here. The ruins, if you want to go out, you can only wait 3 years later. Oh, I see. Suzan nodded. True Yuan was injected into the ban, an array of light appeared on the ban, pointing to the weak formation entrance when it came. The two left the extreme Sun Valley and walked towards the entrance. After 1 day, a strong man has arrived, looking at the entrance of the ruins with fiery eyes, waiting for the mysterious genius who has triggered the vision of heaven and earth to appear. Brother Chen, I didn't expect you to come too. Your Chen family is the Liangzhou family, and you are the elder of the Chen family. You actually came to this kind of place in person. Brother Li joked. Our Chen family is not as great as your Wangfeng school. If you really are a genius with a great son, I hope Brother Li will let you go. My Chen family desperately needs this kind of genius. What's the point of discussing these here? Maybe it's not a vision of a great sun divine body at all, but the birth of a strange treasure. Moreover, even if it is a great sun divine body, such a genius, I am afraid that sect has already existed. Come to us. That's not necessarily, you must know. Shut up all to me. Just when those strong people were talking about it, a domineering voice sounded. Mo Kanglin fell from the sky, glanced at those people, and sneered, "Just with you, you still want to dig the corner of my heavenly K sect? Are you bored? Tiankazong sect leader, what do you mean by this? Is that genius from the heavenly K sect? Even a person from the Tiank sect cannot contact the outside world in the ruins, how can he be sure?" A series of voices of dissatisfaction sounded. At any rate, they are also powerful forces in Liangzhou. Although they are afraid of the heavenly K sect, they are not even afraid to speak. A group of ignorant people. Hearing those words, Mo Kanglin was not angry, but rather proudly said, "The young talents of Liangzhou, Yang Tiangui, my Tiankazong, is second, no one dares to be the first. If there are people in this ruin who have the great opportunity to become the great sun god body, besides Yang Tiangui, who else has the qualifications?" Quote. As soon as this remark came out, everyone fell silent. Although Mo Kanglin spoke extremely domineering, it was unreasonable. Yang Tiangui, indeed, is the person most likely to achieve the great sun god body. At this moment, the light wall of the formation rippled, and someone had come out of it. Wait, let you families today, the martial arts know the huge gap between the genius of my Tiankazong and you. Mo Kanglin couldn't wait. After 3 hours, Yang Tiangui's figure finally emerged from the light wall of formation. Ha ha ha, my Tiankazong Tianzhao Yang Tiangui came out a euro. Looking at Yang Tiangui's embarrassed appearance, Mo Kanglin's voice stopped abruptly, and the smile on his face suddenly solidified. Shouldn't it be a great sun god body, high spirits? Why was his face pale, low spirits, and even broken his left hand? What the hell is this? Not only was Mo Kanglin, the sect leader of the Tiankazong, a little confused, the others were also surprised. What's the situation? Liangzhou's arm was cut off the first day. It shouldn't be. Yang Tiangui has many treasures. Logically speaking, no one in the ruins is his opponent, right? Is it hurt by demonic beasts? But how could demonic beasts create such a flat wound? A series of puzzled voices sounded. The strong master of the soldier realm who escorted Yang Tiangui to Mo Kanglin stood not far away. Seeing this scene, he hurriedly flew in front of him and brought Yang Tiangui to Mo Kanglin. Tiangui, what's wrong with you? Mo Kanglin's voice was low. A euro, Yang Tiangui said angrily. I was under the hood. Surprised. Tell the situation carefully. That's it. According to the map clues left by my senior fellow who entered the ruins last time, I went straight to the extreme Sun Valley after entering the ruins. Being ambushed by a couple of dogmen and women, I cut off one of my arms while I was not paying attention. Sensing the gathering of so many eyes, Yang Tiangui raised his voice. If it weren't for being ambushed, Yang Tiangui would be the first genius in Liangzhou. How can I lose to others? It turned out to be ambush. Yes, Yang Tiangui's strength is invincible in the Ningyuan realm. But speaking of it, even though it is an ambush, the men and women have certain strength, otherwise they would definitely not be able to cut off Yang Tiangui's arm. The people around suddenly realized. Yang Tiangui breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Naturally, it is impossible for him to really say that his skills are not as good as human beings. That is not only embarrassing himself, but also loses the face of Tiankazong. It is estimated that even Mo Kanglin would reprimand him as a trash. A slight modification of the statement can not only find an excuse for the failure of own, but also make Suzan Su Jiaoyu be spurned by others. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Damn it, these 2 despicable villains dared to murder my disciple of the Heavenly K sect. Mo Kanglin was furious. Yang Tiangui insisted, hurriedly adding fuel and jealousy. The 2 are extremely arrogant, especially Suzan, who knows the identity of the disciple and will put me to death. If it hadn't been for the disciple to take that burning blood pill to stimulate the potential, I am afraid that he has already died at this moment. After that, the disciple, with a badly wounded body, sought revenge in the ruins while looking for other treasures and elixir. He has persisted until now before coming out of the ruins. Quote, what you have done is good enough, but you don't understand the sinisterness of rivers and lakes, and you have been tricked by the villain. Mo Kanglin said solemnly. In fact, he did not fully believe Yang Tiangui's words in his heart. He still knows the behavior of own disciples. It is estimated that Yang Tiangui provoked the 2 first. But these are not important, as long as you shoot Yang Tiangui, you will be damned. In the fantasy world, fist is the truth. Those words of Yang Tiangui are nothing more than to give him a better reason to shoot. Mo Kanglin looked gloomy, staring at Formation Guangbi, and said, if you see those two again, can you still recognize it? Definitely. Well, we're here, waiting for them to come out. Thank you, sect leader, for helping the disciple get revenge. Yang Tiangui sneered in his heart. Suzan, even if you are abnormal, what can you do? In front of sect leader, there is no difference from the ants. ... With the appearance of Yang Tiangui, those strong men became more curious about the mysterious genius who achieved the great sun god body. Everyone who walks out of the ruins must take a closer look. Although they can't tell who is a god body from their cultivation base, people who can have a god body must have their own talents. Buffin, looking at the general talent, they can still do it. 2 hours later, the formation light curtain waved and rippled again, and Suzan and Su Jiaoyu walked out before and after. Why are there so many people outside? Su Jiaoyu said with some confusion. Let's go, those people have nothing to do with us. Suzan was also a little surprised, but didn't care too much, shook his head, and walked forward. Suzan, I finally waited for you. Before taking a few steps, an angry voice sounded. Suzan then saw Yang Tiangui, who was pointing a finger at himself not far away, talking to Mo Kanglin. Is this Yang Tiangui who attacked? Looking at his temperament, his talents are all first class, how could he be a sneak attacker? Oh, what a pity, the old man just wanted to go up and ask him if he would like to join the old man. Now that he has offended the Heavenly K sect, then forget it. Suzan listened to the discussion of those around him, somewhat inexplicable. When did he attack Yang Tiangui? Just when he frowned and was about to say a word or two to repay his innocence, the old man of the Celestial K sect's master realm was already striding towards him. Dare to attack and murder our Tiankazong genius, you damn it. The old man snorted coldly, and patted Suzan with one palm separated by 50 meters. The real Yuan erupted, forming a 1-meter-sized real Yuan handprint, which contained huge power, and flew towards Suzan. Don't even give me a chance to explain. Suzan frowned. The further the cultivation base realm goes to the back, the bigger the gap. He can slay the Ning Yuan realm in Qi Si realm, but he may not be able to challenge the Soldier Master realm in the Ning Yuan realm. Although the old man seems to be only the early stage of the host, he must not be careless. The true essence was running, and Suzan pierced out with a sword. This sword contains the gusty wind step that reaches its peak, the Vajra Ju, and the sword technique of Heavenly Cold, which are urged by the Zochan level Han Yugong true essence. At the same time, after transforming the divine body, although the true essence attribute is still the ice cold of Han Yugong for the time being, it carries a panic and overbearing intention, with great power ascension. How can this be? After Su cut out the sword, the old man in the master realm immediately sensed the strength of the sword, his face changed, and he subconsciously wanted to dodge. But it's too late. That sword directly smashed the Junyuan mudra, and sword chi continued to move forward, flying the old man away. Puff. After falling more than 10 meters away, the old man spit out a mouthful of blood, looking at Suzan with horror on his face. Why is the sword technique of the middle stage of Ning Yuan realm so powerful? It was not only him who had this doubt in his mind, but the people around him were also shocked. Tiankazong sect leader Mo Kanglin's eyes flashed, thinking of a certain possibility, stretched out a hand and pressed Suzan Zukong. Suddenly, an oppressive force several times stronger than the old man appeared above Suzan. The power of Yuandan realm powerhouse. Under that pressure, Suzan didn't hesitate, and directly chose to inspire the great sun divine body. A little golden light emerged from his body, and a faint phantom of the big sun appeared behind him. Suzan swung his sword upward, and the pressure instantly dissipated. Sure enough, it's you. Mo Kanglin's eyes lit up and he spoke with some surprises. Sect leader, this person not only ambushed the sneak attack disciple, but also injured elder. Please sect leader immediately kill him. Yang Tiangui didn't expect Suzan to become so much stronger. At this moment, he was even more eager to put Suzan and die, and he said quickly. To shut up. A scolding sound exploded in his ears, and Yang Tiangui was taken aback, looking at Mo Kanglin with some puzzlement. But soon, the puzzlement on his face turned into a bewilderment. I saw Mo Kanglin, sect leader of the Tiong sect, with a kind smile on his face and no hostility. He walked in front of Suzan and said with a smile, I didn't expect Su Xiaoyu to be that peerless arrogant. Misunderstand. Su Xiaoyu, my Tiongkazong is the first sect in Liangzhou. If you are willing to join the Tiongkazong, I can accept you as the only personal disciple. The best cultivation technique in sect, the best medicine pill, and the most beautiful maid are all you. Alone. Quote. Sect leader, you, I told you to shut up, can't you hear me? Mo Kanglin scolded again. I was already a little annoyed in my heart. This waste, his skills are not as good as humans, so he should kill a genius with a divine body. Dona Euro T, you know what the god body is. As long as you don't die halfway, you will enter the Yulong realm in the future. In the Yulong realm, the entire Xia kingdom didn't know if there was such a strong man. Yang Tiongui, a bastard, wanted to make him miss the opportunity to be a future peerless strong man in vain. Moreover, after Su Zan joined the Heavenly Fault sect, in the future, his status as the sect leader of the Heavenly Fault sect will not rise and become the martial Dao giant of the entire Xia kingdom. Thinking of this, Mo Kanglin became increasingly disgusted with Yang Tiongui. He and Yang Tiongui were originally the relationship between sect leader and his disciple. Now this disciple is like a trash in front of Su Zan. Why should he give up a true genius for a trash? Little friend Su, what do you think? Mo Kanglin no longer paid attention to Yang Tiongui, turning his head and beheading Su. Su Zan was also a little surprised that Mo Kanglin would suddenly change his face and invite himself to join the Heavenly Fault sect, but this is a good thing for him now. Yuan Dan realm powerhouse, he is not now able to match. Looking at Yang Tiongui, Su Zan said, I don't want to tell you this beforehand. I want to ask, when did I sneak attack on Yang Tiongui, the noble sect? When this sentence was said, all eyes were converging towards Yang Tiongui. Su Zan Lian can repel the main realm of soldiers, so he still needs to sneak attack him. Couldn't it be Yang Tiongui who attacked Su Zan and escaped with his arm cut off? Instead, the wicked person sued first, right? It's not that there is no such possibility. I think that young master Su Zan is so handsome, he is not that kind of despicable person at all. Yes, that young master Su Zan has a unique temperament. ... Voices sounded one after another, and under the influence of the charm halo, I saw the scene where Su Zan Yijian defeated the master of the main realm. Basically all the girls were one-sided to help Su Zan speak. The other male practitioners also cast contemptuous glances at Yang Tiongui. Yang Tiangui's answer is not important anymore. With Su Zan's sword defeating the old man in the main realm of soldiers, as long as you are not a fool, you can guess that Yang Tiongui has fabricated the facts. At this time, Yang Tiongui was desperate. He didn't even dream of it. 10 minutes ago, Mo Kanglin, who was still trying to avenge him and killed Su Zan, showed his favor to Su Zan in a blink of an eye. Have you agreed to avenge yourself? It is said that to offend the Tiongkazong disciple is to seek death. He turned his head and changed his face. Those onlookers filled with righteous indignation also leaned on Su Zan's side at once. It means he has been isolated now. Facing Su Zan, who defeated the master of the main realm with a sword, Yang Tiongui finally felt uncontrollable fear in his heart at this time. The voice trembled. No, it's not what you think. Yes. What is it? Su Zan's tone was cold. He watched Yang Tiongui, who was stupefied for a long time, and he couldn't tell why. He continued. Since you insisted that I was attacking you, now you can shoot at me. I only use one hand to see. Do I need to attack you? Do not. Hearing this, Yang Tiangui's whole body was erected. Su Zan is so terrifying, isn't he looking for death? Seeing Yang Tiangui's wretched look, Mo Kanglin frowned and said, Trash, with the strength of Su Zan, you still need to sneak attack on you. It's clear that you framed Su Zan. You didn't kneel down and apologize to Su Zan. Kneel, apologize. Yang Tiongui froze for a moment, and knelt down with a bitter face after sensing Mo Kanglin's anger. Su Zan, I slandered you, yes, I'm sorry. Yang Tiangui's voice was trembling, partly because of fear and partly because of feeling shame. The first genius in Liangzhou dignified, he was cut off from his arm, and he actually knelt down and apologized to that person. If it hadn't been for knowing that even if his strength had risen several times, he wouldn't be Suzan's opponent, Yang Tiangui could not help fighting Suzan desperately at this time. Shame, too shame, Mo Kenglin said. How about, are you satisfied with Suzan? Suzan shook his head. Yang Tiangui said in the ruins himself that he wanted to kill me. If I let him go today, wouldn't it be troublesome for myself? No, no, no. I was talking nonsense to scare you. Yang Tiangui paled and hurriedly defended. Nonsense. Suzan said calmly. If this is the case, your words are not credible, maybe you are lying to me now. Actually, in your heart, you have already begun to plan how to avenge me in the future, right? Revenge. You can defeat the Bingzu realm, so much as. Yang Tiangui wanted to cry but didn't know how to explain it. Little friend Suzan, about Yang Tiangui, we will talk about it when we return to Tiankazong. No, this matter must be resolved first. Mo Kenglin frowned. Is it right that Yang Tiangui is dead, so you will join me in the Heavenly K sect? This a euro. Suzan pondered for a moment, and said, I still need to think about it. Sect leader who was able to execute his sect disciple mercilessly for an outsider, to be honest, Suzan had a bad impression on him. Naturally, such a sect, he has to consider it carefully. Still need to consider. Mo Kenglin's face sank, and he said displeased, Little friend Suzan, you have seen the sincerity of our Tiank sect. What else is there to consider? If you agree to join our Tiank sect, Yang Tiangui will leave it to you. Otherwise. You, Suzan, although you are a big sun divine body, after all, you are only a condensed elementary realm. Do you understand what I mean? Mo Kenglin's patience was almost worn out by Suzan, and at this time he was also threatening. In his opinion, no matter what the reason, the Heavenly Fault sect is the most suitable choice for Suzan, and his dignified Yuan Dan realm powerhouse has already put down his posture in this way. Suzan still does not nod his head, it is really not to give him a face. You Tiankazong, are you also worthy of a god body Tianjiao giving face? At this moment, another figure came with a sword. He was a tall and middle-aged man wearing a gray robe. He glanced at Mo Kenglin, then looked at Suzan, his eyes were extremely hot. This little friend Su, I am Yuntian Zhanman Elder Chen Chengfang, and we have Yuntian Zhanman. The best cultivation technique, martial arts, the best cultivation place, the best martial Dao lecturer, the strongest practitioner in the entire Sha country. If you want, you are welcome to come to our Yuntian Sword Gate. Yuntian Zhanman. Information about this sect appeared in his mind, and Suzan's eyes were faintly bright. Now his cultivation technique and martial arts can't keep up with cultivation base, and Yuntian Zhanman is the number one sect in the Sha kingdom, and is also specialized in kendo, which really fits his mind very well. After thinking about it, Su said, Can Elder Chen do me a favor and let me and Yang Tiangui have a fair duel? This person penetrates the bone that I hate. If I leave like this today, I am afraid he will try to kill me in the future, and even harm my family. I've heard some of your conversations just now. This person is of poor character. Even if you don't join me Yuntian Zhanman, this is a favor, I also helped. Chen Chengfang patted his chest. Well, Suzan nodded and walked directly to Yang Tiangui. Sect leader, save me. Yang Tiangui was horrified, crying for help hoarsely. But Mo Kenglin's face was gloomy, and he didn't pay any attention at all. Tiankazong is not worth mentioning in front of Yuntian Zhanman, and although he and Chen Chengfang are both in the Yuan Dan realm, he knows in his heart that even if there are 10 of them, they are not Chen Chengfang's opponents. Whether it is power or strength is crushed, how dare he make a move? Suzan, I know it was wrong, please. Call out. The sound of sword chi sounded. Yang Tiangui, the first genius in Liangzhou, has a different body and head. Your words are not credible. With a whisper, Suzan's long sword was sheathed, and he looked at Mo Kenglin, whose expression was ugly to the side. Mo sect leader, I wounded you elder of the Tiank sect today, and killed you Tianjiao of the Tiank sect, do you have no opinion? I have killed the genius of Tiankazong, and I have to ask if I have any comments. Mo Kenglin's face flushed, his fist squeezed, and his head buzzed with anger. If it hadn't been for Chen Chengfang's power to calm him down, he would have already attacked Suzan. Chen Chengfang glanced at Mo Kenglin and said faintly, Mo sect leader, heavenly fault sect is the right way, sect, it should be reasonable. Logically speaking, who is under your door is damned. Taking a deep breath, Mo Kanglin managed to squeeze out a smile. Yes. Chen Elder is right. That's good. I thought you were going to assassinate me secretly for Yang Tiangui's revenge. Now it seems that you are still very generous, Mo sect leader. You are not just a dead disciple, anyway, you have many disciples of the Tiang sect. Su Zan smiled. Mo Kanglin suffocated, his face suddenly darkened, and he glared at Su Zan angrily. There are many disciples of the Tiang sect, but Yang Tiangui's level is very special. If Su Zan joins the Heavenly Fault sect, then Yang Tiangui will die if he is dead, but now, seeing Su Zan leaning against the Yuntian sword gate, he still has to watch his sect's best genius be killed by someone. Lost madam and broke down. And so many people have heard Su Zan's words today. If one day Su Zan is assassinated, this black pot is probably still on his head. Thinking of this, Mo Kanglin was about to vomit blood in depression. Yang Tiangui really deserves to die, let's end this matter. Mo Kanglin's face was sullen, and when he finished speaking, he drove the copper cart away. Hearing this sentence, those onlookers around were a little dazed. One by one looked at Su Zan with complicated expressions. Unexpectedly, Liangzhou's first sect Tiankazong was stepped on by a teenager today. Even sect's strongest genius has been killed at will. As sect leader, Mo Kanglin, he dare not put a fart. Great Sun Divine Body, Yuntian Janmin, so young. Associating these together, those strong people are amazed. Seeing that the god body Tianzhao was born, today, they are worthy of their trip. Seeing Mo Kanglin leaving, Su Zan looked at Chen Changfeng. I know that your Yuntian Janmin has the best cultivation environment in Sha, the best cultivation technique, and martial arts. But the question is, can I get in touch after I go in? I heard that Da sect has strict levels, and cultivation technique martial arts have great restrictions on cultivation. Quote. You are right, there are indeed many restrictions, but these restrictions are only for ordinary people. Chen Changfeng smiled and said, for you, I can guarantee that no restrictions exist. Well, I join you Yuntian Janmin. Su Zan no longer hesitated anymore, nodded. When will you leave? Chen Changfeng was pleasantly surprised and asked quickly. In 3 days. I want to go back and say goodbye to my dad. Okay, I will go with you, and return to the Yuntian sword gate together after you finish everything. Quote. Su Zan's face was a little weird. A strong man who arbitrarily deterred Mo Kanglin, would he follow him back to Qingcheng? Doesn't it mean that the time of these strong men is precious? Although he didn't quite understand it in his heart, Su Zan did not refuse either. Afterwards, he looked at Su Jiaoyu. Miss Jiaoyu, don't pass it this way. Well, Su Zan, when I see you again, I will definitely narrow the gap with you. Su Jiaoyu held her small fist, waved it, and said with a smile. Ha, this little girl, are you willing to join us Yuntian Janmin? Chen Changfeng glanced around at random and found that Su Jiaoyu's talent was also very good. Although not as good as Su Zan, he could definitely be ranked among the many disciples of Yuntian sword sect, so he asked. Thank you senior for your kindness, but I already have a place to go. Su Jiaoyu refused without hesitation. Su Zan had already expected this. Su Jiaoyu needs to look for a different fire, and most of it is going to the place where the next different fire is. Although the Yuntian sword gate is powerful, it is useless for her. Next, after a few more chats, Su Jiaoyu left. Su Zan and Chen Changfeng returned to Qingcheng. A strong man of the Yuandan realm came to the Qingcheng Su family, and Su Tianai and the Su family elder were ecstatic, feeling the supreme glory. If it wasn't for the fear of offending Chen Changfeng, they all wanted to find someone to draw a photo with Chen Changfeng and hang it in the Su family lobby in the future. People from the nearby forces would have to admire the Su family for 3 points. After staying in Qingcheng for a day, Su Zan set out to Yuntian Janmin. On the way, Chen Changfeng also talked to Su Zan about Yuntian Janmin from time to time. Yuntian Janmin, disciples are divided into 3 levels, outer sect disciple, inner disciple, and true disciple. Corresponding to the 3 realms of Qixi realm, Ningyuan realm, and soldier realm. Like Su Zan in the Ningyuan realm, entering the Yuntian sword gate is the inner disciple, but Suzan's situation is special, so many restrictions on the inner disciple will be cancelled for him. Yuntian Janman is a stalking sect, except that sect experts will give lectures every once in a while, all other times are self-cultivation. On the way, Suzan wrote down all the basic information. 2 days later, he officially came to Yuntian Janman. Unlike the imagined scene, there weren't many swordsman ships. I want to come, I want Eugian, at least I want to be the master of the soldiers. There are only more than 20 true disciples in the Yuntian Sword Gate. As for deacon and elder, they will not fly around every day. Suzan, there is Fenghua Palace ahead. Yesterday I passed your matter back through the sound transmission talisman. At this moment, I know that I have returned with you. The head and elder are there waiting for you. Walking on the Beishi Square on the top of a mountain, Chen Chengfeng pointed to a great hall road ahead. Fenghua Palace. The Palace of Fenghua is a place to test talents, but generally only more important disciples will be brought here. Most of the disciples get started by collectively passing the test stone test. Chen Chengfeng explained. Although I have already informed the head and elder that you are a big sun divine body, before seeing it with my own eyes, it is estimated that they will be suspicious. Quote. It turned out to be so. Suzan nodded and followed Chen Chengfeng into the Great Hall. In the Great Hall, there are already 7 strong people waiting. Seeing Suzan coming in, they all cast their eyes on him for the first time. Well, the roots are superior, but it's only superior. There are also many of this kind in the Yuntian sword sect. It doesn't seem to be as talented as Brother Chen you said. Indeed, logically speaking, the divine body will be awakened only when the talent is already extremely high, but this child's talent is not extremely high. Awakening the divine body, the physical body will inevitably change, and the talent will be greatly increased. If this is his talent after awakening the divine body, doesn't it mean that before the awakening of the divine body, his talent is very mediocre? Brother Chen, did you make a mistake? Doubts sounded. Too lazy to explain to you ignorant guys. Chen Chengfeng glanced at those people, snorted coldly, and cupped hands at the old man in the main seat. Head, can you start the talent test? Can. The gaze of the head of Yuntian Jian sect fell on Suzan, nodded. Suzan, this is a talented stone pillar, engraved with a special magic circle, which is specially used by our Yuntian sword sect to test the more valued genius. With permission from the head, Chen Chengfeng pointed to the stone pillar in the pool in the center of the great hall and said. After a while, you only need to press your hand on the stone pillar and run the true essence, and the talent stone pillar will automatically sense your roots, martial Dao talent, and even your understanding of martial arts cultivation technique. Even your savvy can be tested. Suzan looked at Shizu in surprise. When he first entered the great hall, he noticed this gray-white stone pillar about 5 or 6 meters high. He thought it was a unique design of Fenghua Hall. He didn't expect this stone pillar to be the key to the test. Of course, otherwise what do you think the Fenghua Hall of our Yuntian Janman is for? An obese elder said with some pride when he saw Suzan's surprised expression. That is the internal affairs elder Lu elder. We Yuntian Janman have a total of 27 elders in the Yuan Dan realm. What you see today are all 6 real power elders in the Janman. Chen Chengfeng glanced at the obese elder, hesitated for a moment, and gave a little introduction. Since Suzan wants to become a disciple of the Yuntian sword sect, he will inevitably have to deal with these real power elders in the future, and it is also beneficial to introduce them. Chen Chengfeng's eyes fell on a tall and thin elder, and said, this one is Elder Miao from the Penalty Palace. Miao elder smiled. Brother Chen, don't need to introduce it. If this son is not as talented as you said, I don't think any of the seniors would pay too much attention to it. In this case, the introduction is wasted. Miao elder is right. For now, this son's talent is not worthy of Brother Chen's introduction. If the talent is just ordinary, then he is a junior at the condensation element realm. What qualifications does he have to let me gather here and wait for him? I still don't believe that the dignified divine body, the root talent is not the best. Then how can he achieve the divine body? ... It's all right. Don't talk nonsense. Suzan, you will come forward and test. Chen Chengfeng was a little annoyed by those people's rumors, and cut his way to Su. Good. Suzan nodded, came to the pool and stepped on a small stone bridge leading to the stone pillars in the pool. This talented stone pillar is really so mysterious. Suzanne was full of curiosity, put one hand on it, and tried to run the true essence. Suddenly, a ray of light appeared at the bottom of the gray stone pillar, and this ray of light surged upwards, staying in the middle of the stone pillar, about 3 meters high. Miao Elder chuckled. Sure enough, this talent can be said to be superior in Shogwo, and in our Yuntian sword sect, I'm afraid it's only a middle upper. The light of the 3-meter talent. If I remember correctly, the true biography disciple in the sword gate, when the talent was tested at the beginning, the worst was 3.5 meters, and he couldn't even reach the talent level of the general true biography disciple. Quote, over the years, the true disciple of our Yuntian sword sect is the first, which talent is not the shining stone pillar of the entire talent. He is too far away. Hey, it is said that people with extremely talented talents will show the vision of heaven and earth after the stone pillars are filled with talent. But I have never seen it before. I thought that Brother Chen brought a peerless genius this time, which could make me wait and open my eyes. Now it looks like, the talent can still increase. Before that elder finished speaking, he saw the talented stone pillar's light pause for a few seconds before continuing to rise. Suddenly a little confused, not only him, the other elders, including Chen Chengfeng and Yuntian sword sect head, were also taken aback. The talent test is usually a one-time show. This kind of test has risen again. It is the first time I have seen you. Could it be that he wants to inspire the divine body? Although it is still impossible to believe that Suzanne's root talent will be a god, but seeing the light of the talent rise, the elders can only speculate in this direction. At this time, Suzanne's heart was calm. Those elders said are correct. His own martial Dao talent is too bad. Even after experiencing the transformation of the divine body, it is only to reach the top level. After all, the divine body is still in the stage of just awakening. Only with his cultivation base ascension will he continue to give changes in your body. But what those people don't know is that in addition to the divine body, he also has a halo panel. Just now, because he wanted to test his own martial Dao talent, Suzanne turned off all auras, and now he can open it. The protagonist cultivation halo, turn on. The light of the talented stone pillar climbed, and it was less than half a meter away from the top. It's only so little short of the talent stone pillar's consummation. The true talent of this child should be enough to rank in the top 10 in the Yuntian sword gate. Wait, he's up again. The elder stuttered a bit, pointing to the talented stone pillar. His face was incredibly full. I saw that above the talented stone pillars, light spread all over, and then, this light continued to thicken, as if it were solid. This level of talent has surpassed the first true biography of our Janman, right? This son's talent is indeed top-notch, but it's a pity that it's not a god body. Achieving a god body will trigger a wide range of heaven and earth visions and stimulate the god body state. Although there will be no such exaggerated heaven and earth visions, there will also be some special visions. It seems that Brother Chen is still wrong. Not a divine body. This kind of talent is also enough for us to cultivate Yuntian Janman with all his strength. Those elders' eyes brightened, and they exchanged a little excitedly. They are the real power elder of Yuntian sword sect. Yuntian sword sect has a genius. They are naturally happy. When the head Qin Jincheng saw this scene, a smile appeared on his staid face. Chen Chengfeng was already a little confused at this time. Before coming to Yuntian sword gate, he had already let Suzanne reveal the divine body, and personally confirmed it. But now, Suzanne has already reached such a terrifying level of talent before stimulating the divine body. What kind of scene would it be if the divine body was aroused? Did he still far underestimate Suzanne? Is this the level of talent with full cultivation aura and understanding aura? Looking at the talented stone pillar, Suzanne muttered to himself. It is said that when talent reaches its extreme point, a heaven and earth vision will appear. I don't know, what will my heaven and earth vision be? Thinking like this in his heart, Suzanne didn't hesitate to directly arouse the divine body. A little golden light emerged from his body, condensed into around a big sun phantom, suspended behind him, exuding a kind of overbearing power of the panic big sun. Buzz. At the moment when the divine body was aroused, the stone pillar suddenly trembled violently. A series of mysterious runes appeared on the talented stone pillar, and the light of the whole stone pillar was radiant. Divine body. Really divine body. God. Big Sun divine body. It is also a powerful existence among the few divine bodies. 500 years ago, there was a divine body Tianzhao who was testing the talent stone pillar, motivating the sea ascending the vision of Mingyu. I am curious, what kind of heaven and earth vision the talent stone pillar will give to express Suzanne's talent level. Fenghua Palace. Having reached the Yuandan realm, the elders of the peak powerhouse in the entire Xia kingdom, as well as the leader of Qin Jincheng, were unable to control the excitement in their hearts. They even breathed rapidly, opened their eyes wide, and stared at the pillar of talent. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.